This is 101.5 The Drive, the Bent Methods Morning Show with Chris and Keelan, coming to you live.
What's going on?
That's my first attempt at a radio host voice.
I don't know. People go to school for that, so.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess they
But
do.
that wasn't bad.
bad. Got to work on my frequencies, eh?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Anyways, first episode of 2021, bringing the new year.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, finished up our Christmas contest. Thanks to everyone that got involved with that. It's pretty sweet.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say it was pretty successful.
I'd say that was everything we wanted to accomplish with that. We did. We raised some money for mental health awareness too. We did pretty good with that.
Yeah. Emily over at CMHA, she was really handy and guided us through that, and can't thank her enough for helping us put that on. Yeah, what did we get? Like just over $1,500.
$1,500, yeah.
Or $1,500 even.
Yeah, but plus the T-shirt or whatever sales, we haven't even calculated that yet.
Whenever that wraps up, so
yeah, a couple more days depending on when this comes out. We got another week.
Yeah, so thanks to everyone that donated.
Yeah. I feel like it was pretty well, like everyone was pretty quick to jump on board with it too. Like everyone online we had tons of entries for our contest, which was sweet to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with the amount of prizes we had to give away, that was just a given. But
yeah,
those are some good prizes. The sponsors stepped up pretty good.
Yeah, the sponsors and the riders, and yeah, I guess I got them pulled up here. Just maybe we'll go through.
Yeah, give them a shout out.
Yeah, a quick thank you. But yeah, just like with the riders, like Dean Wilson, Jess Pettis, Tristan Hart, Dylan Wright, Cody Matichuk, Brock Hoyer. Those guys are all bad dudes, and can't thank them enough for just pulling a little bit of memorabilia out of their closet to help us out, and that was pretty nice of them. So as well as Husqvarna Canada for stepping up, Drumheller Equipment Sales, and Ben over there, and Dean and Boston at Direct Suspension, Rod and Ryan at RMR Suspension. They were really helpful and willing to do whatever we needed of them, and yeah, that was great. And Andy and Don at FXR, JC Fox Canada, Greg at M7 Designs, Dustin Wild Rose, Trevor Rhino Power Canada, as well as the Noof at Matrix. He threw a ton of prizes in, and so really thankful for having him on board. And sorry, back to Husky Canada, Allison. Yeah, so forgot to mention her, but she was very helpful as well. So yeah, those guys were all very willing to help us out, and very grateful for that.
Yeah, those were some awesome prizes, and congrats to all the winners. I'm jealous sitting over here. I know those were some.
What do you mean, your girlfriend? Right?
That's true.
I think you rigged the system or
totally
something.
rigged it. But yeah, I was sitting over here watching those guys win, going, "Damn, that's a sweet prize."
Yeah, you win like a revalve suspension or like the RMR coatings. That's pretty badass.
Yeah,
Atlas sprays,
like
Jesus.
Ride cards and stuff. I mean, get you out to the track and just everything. Even the Rhino Power supplements just gets you motivated to keep going at the sport. So I thought that was pretty sweet from everybody who stepped up.
Yeah, or even like I just dropped off the pressure washer today from Ben at Drumheller Equipment Sales, and I was like, man, I should have made a phony account to go in that one.
That thing looks like it'll peel some decals off every race day.
Yeah, the steel Rig Boss.
What is it, a 3000?
No, it was like a steel Rig Boss 400.
Oh, okay.
But it still looked pretty burly, and it was a nice machine. So.
Yeah. Well, that'll be nice treat for a lot of those viewers out there.
Damn, we should have thrown the JG jersey up there. I didn't even think of it.
Next time. We got another contest coming one day.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to roll something else out again. So
I think it's cool to do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's new? What's going on?
Yeah.
Haven't seen you boys in a little bit.
Yeah, really. We haven't really talked much. I don't
Yeah.
even know what this guy's doing for next year. I don't know anything.
Yeah. What's going on with that? Any updates?
No, not
No.
really. Just kind of
Keeping it a hush hush secret out there.
No, I mean everybody's kind of in the same boat right
Yeah.
now. Like not really sure what the what the series is gonna look like. I mean, it's nice to see that the U.S. has a plan with what they want to do, and they're moving forward there. Hopefully with the new with the Biden coming in and all that. Hopefully it doesn't backtrack on some of the racing plans down south. But
you don't really know what he's gonna do, right? He could lock her down again.
yeah, I mean, I know he's already done some pretty over the top, or he's planning to do some pretty over the top things here in the first 100 days, like with the Keystone kind of
That's already done.
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 being choked out.
I read today that was like we lost 59,000 jobs from that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then with COVID, like he's already planning to implement stricter testing protocols at borders, and it sounds like it's going to get a little tougher to even travel more than it is now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And then north of the border here, like it's
A shit show.
pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Don't know what's
So what
what's
have you?
going
Let's get into that a little bit. What have you heard on the series? Have you heard? What's been the whispers?
on. Well, I don't know. I feel like as far as I know is that it's gonna look similar to last year, but that's you never know until it's till the day before. So
I've heard both. I've heard that they're gonna try and come west. There won't be one in Calgary because of the restrictions they're gonna have within the city. So there won't be one in Calgary. Allegedly, they're gonna try and come west for 1 or 2 rounds, which I don't see the point.
Yeah, I heard Drumheller was the one round they would come west for, and that was about it.
Like, why bother at that point?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like I don't want to I really don't want to kind of I don't know.
Say it, Keelan.
Come on, blow 'em out.
Come on.
No, I just I don't want to say anything that's like kind of
Yeah.
I know
I know.
they're trying, and it's difficult with like COVID going on.
Yeah, I'm not
and
saying I blame them.
Oh
but-
God, no.
and I think it's kind of difficult probably trying to roll into another year from the year they had before, like trying to build off of 2020 into 2021 is pretty difficult. So I think I don't know, I can't imagine that that the funds would be where they want them to be to do a full series this year, but at the same time I know the sponsors will want to see them go wherever they can, wherever possible. So I think there will be an effort. I just who knows to what extent.
Like, you got to think logistically, doesn't make sense to come out west for one round, whether it's racers, the race promoters, really nobody. It makes sense for one round, but if you could squeeze a couple in, then it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I feel like it's better. I feel like it's honestly a little less restrictive in BC. Like they maybe would get away with like a Kamloops or a Prince George round. I don't know.
Well, what are things like in Saskatchewan? I really don't.
I don't know if I don't know. They could want no one to come into their country or
True,
their province,
yeah,
or they could just be like, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
I haven't really been up to date on it.
Yeah. Is there any news on like a title sponsor?
I heard that the Rockstar actually had another year on the contract.
No.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard it's kind of up in the air. But
Which seems kind of crazy. Like, how is that up in the air?
Yeah,
I don't know.
They
It's
always
weird.
find their little loopholes and ways out of
Yeah,
stuff.
if they want out, they'll probably find a way out.
yeah, you get the right lawyers in and the right amount of money.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can figure it out. But yeah, I mean, who knows what happens behind closed doors? Yeah, I mean, I think it could make sense to come west for one round if it was in the right location. Like, I think the big thing is like, because I've heard a lot of opinions mainly from the manufacturer side of things on where their stance is, and they want to have a presence where like the most amount of sales are and the most amount of circulation is, and that's going to be Calgary and then the Lower Mainland.
Yeah,
And
for West
So
Coast,
like
you're
pop
talking
gun
about.
basically.
Yeah, and if they can't go to Calgary, their next best bet is Drumheller,
Which is close enough.
Yeah,
close enough.
Everyone that is here is gonna go there.
Yeah, so like, you know, maybe they break even getting everything out here, or who knows what their plan is, if that is even a plan. I don't know, but like I guess for just speculation purposes, like, yeah, maybe they spend X amount of dollars to get all their equipment out here and whatever, and let's say they absolutely kill it, get like a ton of people out there and still somehow abide by all the regulations and whatever, and they break even. At least then they're still making the sponsors happy. And
it's putting numbers on a book. You may not be returning a profit, but you know, you still got to put numbers on a book. So it makes sense from that point of view in a way.
And it's helping their image too.
Yeah. Well, 100%.
Because I think that's another thing too, is like, let's say that's their best hope is that they could break even, but what they're going to gain more from that is what's going to happen for them in 2022 if they are able to operate unrestricted and whatever, and they're still going to, if they make some sort of an effort to come west and whatever that is and whatever it looks like, I don't know, at least if they make some sort of effort, they'll still retain some of their fans and followers. Whereas if they don't, sure, you'll have the people that understand and they'll be like, all right, yeah, it's a business and whatever, like they're East Coast operated, and like it just, yeah, you look at an Excel spreadsheet, it just doesn't make sense to come west for them.
Right.
Like some people understand, but then there'll be some people like where I'm on both sides, where I'm like, I get it, it's a business, but at the same time I'm like, this is what you signed up for, like you got to show everybody love. So
well, as a national series too, I mean, it's hard to call it a national series when it hits one, maybe two provinces like it was supposed to last year, but the constraints are what they are, but it is a national series, right? So you want to pull the talent from across the country. Like, how many Westerners did we have show up last year?
5 or 6, maybe more.
No,
I guess you didn't count Casey Wyatt. That's probably 10.
Yeah, there's probably 10. Like there was Piccolo, Julian Bennett came for some, Gibbs, Parker Eels.
Yeah, so it was easy 10.
Wyatt, Casey, Davies, kind of. Yeah. He's West Coast sort of.
Not much for like privateer effort, you know.
Unger.
Unger.
There's a few, but there is quite a few riders out here that, you know, fill the gates. Like typical Calgary. How many guys sign up for a Calgary race?
Depends. Like,
it's pretty good.
We used to have like 80 entries.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm thinking 18. It was barely 40.
Really?
I don't know why, but it's like no one came from the East Coast that year though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird though, but don't you think that kind of as a series promoter, they should at least put out like some kind of tentative plan? Like I'll be the first one to admit I know nothing about promoting a race series, and I'm not trying to come down on them, but like, wouldn't you think that it would be beneficial for everyone involved trying to gain, like all the teams, all the riders trying to gain support for the next year to try and put out some kind of tentative plan so we at least have a somewhat of a clue of what to plan for?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think like that's what everybody would want, but I feel like they're also kind of maybe in like, they maybe themselves feel like they're in a bit of hot water where like they can't do anything right, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I got nothing against them. Like I think the Thompsons are great. And
they're doing their best.
And I get what they're trying to do, and it's just like, especially this year, the cards were stacked against them. Yeah. But I think if they were to come out like I don't want to say too soon, because too soon is not like the right thing to say, but if they were to come out with some sort of schedule
That's like they end up scrapping the whole thing and going to something totally new. Is that like?
Well, it like I guess like look at it like last year. Like they came out with a schedule that changed, I believe, 2 maybe 3 times.
I think it 3 times.
And it's like kind of like right now, like let's say you're the Thompsons and whoever else is involved sitting at a table right now being like, okay, like this is what the goal is, but what's realistic for us and what are we going to be able to achieve? And right now, like they probably don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel as a racer if they came out with plan A and plan B? Like you say, you want to kind of have something to work towards.
Just like
they may not have a solid plan, right? But what if they came out with a plan A is come out to 3 West rounds, blah blah blah.
Well,
and then plan B was like a similar schedule to last year. Would that suffice to most people, you think?
I think so. Like, I mean, we're lucky enough. We know them well enough that we kind of have an idea. We've talked to them and know kind of what they're thinking. But the average racer, like most racers, don't get that, right? It's like they have no clue what, like, are they even planning on racing this year? Like, who knows? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, with the whole title sponsor thing, I mean, that probably puts a lot of questions into a lot of people's minds who don't know some of the insider stuff, right? So I think a lot of people might be thinking they're not going racing next year because they just don't know what's going on. They don't even know there's going to be a race series, right?
Yeah, like what? It's almost February and we have
even
nothing.
Though we know something's going to come up.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
does the average racer think that way?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like if I were them, I like if I were in their shoes and knowing like kind of what's in the works, I would be like kind of like, oh man, I would feel like there's no winning because it's like,
but there's no winning either way. You wait, you're not gonna win by waiting either.
Like, what happens if you have half the racers show up that you anticipated showing up because they thought there was nothing going on this year and they spent their funds elsewhere, went elsewhere, whatever, right? So then you only got, instead of even the 40 guys showing up, you only got 20. You only got the teams showing up, right?
But where are they gonna go?
U.S., bro.
Obviously,
US,
bro.
Yeah.
How are they gonna go there?
Well, let's just say
smuggle themselves across the border. I don't know.
There's guys that'll just, I don't know, put it off for a year.
Well, there's
right?
like there could be guys. There could be guys that are on the fence that are like, man, I don't know if I want to commit to like getting everything rolling to go racing when I don't even know what the hell's going on, or I don't even know if there's going to be a series, or if I don't know if there's going to be an East Coast series or a West Coast series or anything.
Well, you got to think, like, a lot of Canadian racers have a regular job, right? I'd say the majority,
99%,
right?
Yeah.
So you got to start telling your boss, like, okay, the race schedule is looking like this. I'm going to need this much time off work. And a lot of our employers as racers are really flexible and work with us on that stuff. But I'm sure even they would like some notice to know.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we're going to be missing Jared out of work for, these 2 months here or these weekends, whatever it is. So there's more at stake than I think just like the racers or the promoters.
And maybe they don't totally grasp that because they're so like wrapped up in trying to figure out what to do. I don't know.
But I think that everybody's doing that right now.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a logistical.
It's an impossible feat. You can't please all your stakeholders involved in something, right? But it's just interesting to think about, at least.
Yeah. No, I think it's just like it's just sit and wait and see what happens. Like, but
how long are you like? You say you kind of don't know what your plans are 100% next year, right?
This year, I guess it would be this year,
yeah. How long are you going to sit and wait before you make a decision one way or the other
you say,
where you're going to go?
At what point are you just going to be like, screw it, I'm going to go race AMAs?
Well, I already know what I'm doing. It's just a matter of
putting the ducks in a row.
Well, it's a matter if I'm going to do more based on what Triple Crown decides.
Yeah.
So
how long do you wait, or you're going to wait till the bitter or the very end of it?
Well, I mean, I know what I want to do, but like it's a matter of if I'm gonna do more than what I'm planning.
We gotta pry this out of him.
Yeah, he's waffling, as they would say.
Sitting there, I don't know.
Well, no, I would like. Oh fuck. Like I don't know. It's just like a lot is up in the air with everybody. Like. Don't know what's going on in Canada. Everybody seems to be kind of making a plan on the team level, and I feel like we see privateers somehow making it south to go train and stuff. So like everybody's making a plan to go racing. It's just a matter of like what racing are we gonna do? And I think like for me, there's just like don't know what's coming down the pipe for sponsorship. Kind of getting to that age where it's like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And I should probably like do something realistic. But at the same time, I got great opportunities, so don't want to sacrifice the moto thing. So, I don't know. Like, it's just nobody knows what's going on. You know, you just kind of like take it day by day. And I think maybe at least I look at it like plan for the best, but like don't hold your breath. You know?
Yeah, you can't cry when it all falls apart, but you got to plan for something.
Yeah, because like I mean. It obviously, given the times nowadays, like it's hard to do that, and it's hard to find motivation in the day to move forward and or press on with what you want to do and achieve whatever goals you want to achieve. But like, I mean, you still got to press on, but you can't just hold your breath. Like,
I feel like we were having the same conversation a year ago.
Yeah, a little bit.
So have you started training, like boot camping it or anything? Get like how much your program
you've been
you
out
got?
motoing it. At least we got some nice weather. You can moto.
Where you been motoing?
Lethbridge's been awesome.
Oh.
Been there like maybe 3 times. Went to
Sweet.
Kook once. Yeah, no, it was good, but seems like it's getting kind of chilly now. So
Yeah, it's gonna be frozen now. Hey.
I guess with Lethbridge, it depends if they get moisture because it was like bone dry.
Yeah.
Like even you just keep turning up dirt.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they don't get moisture, the next Chinook, Lethbridge could be good. It's weird. It's so insane, like how you drive like an hour south of here. There's no snow, but here there's still like a frozen foot of ice.
Yeah.
But I guess like JC was telling me, because he was down in Lethbridge the other day, and I guess like they had recorded their highest winds ever.
Oh, I heard it was like hurricane level.
Yeah.
Hurricane level winds.
It was like 140K, and I was like, man, if they get like winds like that, like once or twice a week, like of course there's no snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just, but yeah, every day we were down there riding, it was like 50-kilometer winds, and you're like pushing your bike off to the side into the wind, or if OJ jumps if you're going the same direction as it. But yeah, no, it was pretty good. Yeah.
What about you? You got any ideas of what's going on next year in your world?
Nothing, man.
How's the thumb?
Thumb's
wanted to
good.
ask
The
you that.
thumb's no good.
No, good.
Yeah, typical Canadian healthcare system. It's like anyone that's had a shoulder or a knee done knows the struggle, because they'll send you for an ultrasound. Ultrasound shows basically nothing, and then you got to go on the wait list for an MRI, which could be 6 months away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no racing for me.
So you still haven't got in for an MRI then?
No.
Eh? Oh,
No.
rough.
Yeah, it's not like you can even go south right now to do. I guess you could, but
Well, what were you saying that they like? What was the last thing they told you? It was like steroids or something.
Oh, they're gonna give me. I'm on the wait list for some steroid injections, but that's just to help with the pain.
Oh.
So that's not gonna help my problems at all.
So they said it was connected, just stretched, so
Yeah,
they couldn't do surgery.
They don't even. What they think is it's not even ligament related. It's the ligaments are stretched, but it's the joint. So the joint is, because it's popped out, or I guess they said it's popped out so many times that the joint's kind of worn away, and now I have all this play in my thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's getting better. Like today's the first day I worked without having to wear. I didn't wear my splint today. I wasn't doing like heavy lifting or anything. So it is getting better, but I don't think I could hold on for I could probably ride, but I don't think I could hold on for like what we saw all summer, right?
Yeah.
I could ride during the week when it's like
One
not
bump.
bad, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's rough on race day,
Yeah.
and I can't hold on.
The soggy stuff, right? When you really got a grip.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's no good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think like a like a collagen protein or something?
I'd take
Or
collagen
collagen injections.
Yeah, I've never heard of
like-
this collagen injections, but
For,
I was
I
thinking
don't even
I
know
was
if
thinking
that's a
stem
thing.
cells, stem cells, or even
You gotta get on that.
what's it called? Plasma. What's it? Platelet rich plasma?
Where they-
PRP.
where they pull the blood.
Spin it,
Yeah.
get the platelets, and then inject it back in. Maybe that would help.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. I've been working so much, I haven't even really had a chance to dive into it. But you
Yeah,
know,
it's a bummer. It's been a long journey with that one.
yeah, it's yeah, it is what it is.
It's always frustrating when that like the smallest thing
I
is
know,
gonna
it's a dumb-
prevent you from
Like, it's a dumb. Oh, I got all kinds of problems with my hands right now though too.
Yeah.
I think I got I might have either arthritis or I have carpal tunnel because I wake up every night. My hands are numb and they're like locking up, and my fingers are like they're like stuck like
And it like
Yeah.
hurts
yeah,
to
it hurts,
close
and I'm
them
like
or
and then
open.
I wake up every night going and I'm like trying to like clench my hands together
Oh,
every
really?
night. So it's either carpal tunnel or it's arthritis. I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, I wonder if you got that from like hanging onto the grinder. and then a
Definitely
bike and
grinder,
then just-
bike, yeah,
Well,
you know.
steering wheels even.
Yeah.
right?
Probably
yeah.
doesn't help too, like having your thumb being weak
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
you're overcompensating
Yeah,
with
it's
Yeah.
worse on my good hand, right? So
Yeah.
every night it's like, and like it's weird, like it's like this. It's like I don't know. It's almost like my muscles are something weird. I got one of those massage guns.
Oh yeah, the
Christmas for my brother.
acoustic.
So I've been like hammering my forearms at night, but still, like it's getting a little bit better. Like now that I'm not working 17, 15 hours a day, but
yeah,
it's still messed up.
dang.
Chris.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
going on with Chris? You got an electric vehicle,
Yeah,
eh?
we
You
got-
got the-
picked up the old EV. Yeah, that's day one in it, or
What'd
day
you
two, I
get?
guess. The Kona.
The Kona.
Yeah, the Kona.
Is that the model? Or
Yeah, it's a Hyundai.
Oh,
The
okay.
old
the old
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
It's actually, man, like for a cheap car, if you want to call it that, goes good.
Yeah.
Those electric motors are pretty fun.
You're scrapping the van.
Fixing the van up, keep that too for those long trips and stuff.
Coupe
Yeah.
trips
Go
in the
racing
van.
coupe trips. Yeah, exactly. So, no, but the electrics thing's gonna be good for going to work, coming down here and stuff. You know, went to the gas station 12 times in December, so
That's nuts, man.
it was too much.
I don't think I went to the gas station once in December. I have like a 10-minute drive to work, and I drive that little Mazda. Thing goes for probably I spend like $40 a month maybe on gas in that thing, driving to
Oh.
work and back.
That's 3 times a week. I got to do that. It's
Yeah,
brutal.
Well, how far is your drive to work?
To work, it's about 37K, so it's actually not too bad.
Yeah, but you're doing 75K a day.
Yeah, you're doing that every day, and then I'm driving around at work, coming down south here. Like, it just made more sense to kind of give it a try at least. I mean, I'm not going to end up in the hole, I don't think. I kind of needed a new car with the van motor going, so things kind of worked out. I mean, it'll be a interesting little bit here to see how things go.
Yeah.
But, excited about it. Yeah, like I say, it goes good, and
What is it, like a sedan type deal?
it's like a small SUV.
Oh, it's an SUV
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. Can
Nice.
fit the dog in there, and you know, one day when that little kid comes along, I guess he'll fit in there too.
You'll throw them in there.
Just toss him in the back.
Put them
Yeah.
on top of the battery.
Yeah. Oh no, the battery is literally the whole floor of the car. Like you look
Really?
underneath, it's just the whole floor, the whole way.
Oh, really?
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So it's like flat and long.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got a good range to it. It's about 420 kilometers or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what it's rated for. So
How does it do a recharge? Like through the brakes or?
you get regenerative braking. You got like different levels you can set it to. So
Okay.
like when it's on the high level and you let your foot off the gas, I mean, you drove a Tesla, you
Yeah.
know, it's like it stops for you basically. Like
Yeah.
it's
Really?
full on brakes. Yeah.
Yeah,
It throws the brake lights
You don't even
on.
need the brakes.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you chop the throttle, it's just like
Yeah.
No
And-
way.
it's like
And-
you're like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
riding a dirt bike in first gear. It's like
And that's all I can think about driving this thing now. I'm like, electric dirt bike would be sick. Like all your throttle is everything.
I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be sketchy as fuck though. Like as soon as you chop the throttle on the face of a jump to go scrap, like, you're so in the
Well,
habit of like
yeah.
when you're scrubbing something, you're always coasting right off the face.
Yeah.
And as soon as you drop the throttle on an electric bike, if it has that same type of feel, it's gonna be like send you over the bars.
Well, I think you can change the setting on like those Altas possibly too about how much engine braking there is.
Right.
Because like when I put the car in zero, it coasts like not. It's just like
Okay.
dropping your car in neutral and you roll down the road, right?
Do Altas have engine braking?
I'm
Or,
pretty
like-
sure they do. I'm not an expert on Altas, but I've heard you can change the programming on that.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Yeah,
'Cause-
like easily too. Like it's just a quick button
Switch,
press or
yeah.
something. I could be wrong. I don't have one.
I
But
didn't know if they freewheeled. I just assumed that they maybe freewheeled.
Yeah, I think, but I think you want a little bit of that engine brake, right?
Yeah.
Like, to
Oh, it'd be weird if it didn't
Oh,
have anything.
yeah.
It'd be like even worse than a two-stroke. It'd be just like
just the weirdest part to me would be no clutch, but it's
No
all in
shifting?
your it's all in your wrist. Like
Yeah.
I want to try one. That's all I gotta say.
I
No-
know
no
some-
clutch, no shifting. That'd be
Yeah.
weird, man.
Oh,
Some this sort of on a tangent, but not really. I know some factory dudes run like I don't know if it's called a slipper clutch or
Oh,
something,
like a
or-
recluse slipper,
yeah.
yeah.
but it's like a one-way bearing or whatever. Like I heard that Honda runs them.
Oh, really?
I don't know if Roxon runs one, but I met this test rider for Honda once, and he said that he ran one for I think it was like Works or something, or Gene. I can't
Okay.
remember. He was an off-road dude, super tall. I can't even remember his name. But he said it was like it just totally changes the bike. Like it's like a two-stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, a lot of factory guys run these systems where the four-strokes don't have engine braking.
Huh. I
Yeah.
like that energy brake though. I guess I don't know any better, but have you ever tried like a slipper, like a recluse slipper clutch?
No, I haven't.
Apparently all the star guys run them.
Oh, really? Well, okay, so I was going to elaborate on this so after this guy mentioned it to me, I started like really watching the bikes in like Supercross and stuff. And if you watch the factory guys with how they enter a berm compared to like and even a pretty good privateer dude, like if you watch them, how they enter a berm compared to like maybe a guy that's like 10th or something,
Like a John Short or something like that.
or or just like a pretty good guy that's maybe just on a stock bike picked up from the dealership.
a Chisholm.
Yeah. If you watch them, it's like night and day difference. Like when we watch the race later tonight, like in Houston 3, like just pay attention to it. Like you watch the difference in the bikes. Like it's one could say that they're pulling in the clutch or whatever when they're doing that. Who knows? Like they could to get the same effect,
It
but
could
like
be a little bit technical, but like a little bit technique too.
yeah, maybe some of those guys drag the clutch in and they don't run something like that. But like just watch like the top dudes entering berms compared to like maybe a guy that's like just inside the top 10,
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Like an Osby or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just it's like night and day difference.
Yeah.
Like just how they flow in and how the bike, like some bikes stand up and other bikes don't, or they'll like jump into a berm and then it's like the bike has like a hesitation and then they come up and then they drop down, whereas like the factory dudes are just like they're in and it's like one fluid motion
Yeah.
and there's like no hesitation in the bike whatsoever. And it's like when you're like riding like Supercross or something really technical and you're landing and getting all those G forces and then trying to like turn the bike, maneuver it to go in a different direction, like that's pretty difficult to be smooth on the throttle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And obviously those guys are super
Yeah.
super talented, but like when you have these like little mechanisms to kind of help you with those
Yeah.
small little details in one lap, like it obviously gonna add up. But it's I don't know, I just I could be totally wrong about this, but just because this guy like this Joey Tomato off-road dude told me this once and he was like a factory test rider for Honda, I was like, all right.
Oh, cool.
I wish I could remember his name because he's like a famous guy.
I
Just
like Joey
famous.
Tomato.
Famous in what world? Like the off-road world or
yeah, he rode
Mark
for,
Samuels?
No, he's super tall, like taller.
Oh,
like,
Jeff Loop?
I can't remember.
Huh.
He's like 3 inches taller than me.
Yeah,
Like
maybe
super-
Jeff Loop's massive, dude. He used to race Supercross. Did he race Supercross at any point?
I can't remember. I met him at club.
Oh, probably not Jeff Loop then.
He's a East Coast guy. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name. He works for Hoosier now. That's how I met him.
Oh, okay.
He's like doing some Hoosier testing for Supercross when I met him. But yeah, I don't know. It was just cool to think about. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, how good did Jet Lawrence look last week? Or I guess on Tuesday.
That was good.
Dude, he looked
Pretty mad.
sick, and Christian Craig always looked sick. But man, on last Saturday, Jesus Christ, I could watch that guy ride all day. Like, it's just sick.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the dudes in the 450 class.
Man, it's nuts right now.
I feel bad for all of them. Even the guy getting like second.
Yeah. Like a guy like Cincerillo or Tomac, they get shuffled back to like 13th or 12th. They can't even go forward. They can't even.
Yeah. It's I like and then not just those guys, but the guy like there's guys that are really good not making the night show.
Night show, really? Like,
Yeah,
I
in
haven't looked
450 class.
I haven't looked that far down. I don't know.
There's like really good guys that aren't even making it into the night show.
Yeah,
and these are guys that are like putting their lives into Supercross. And then I look at like a dude like Cade Clayson, who's like really talented rider. And he's probably just like looking at the entry list being like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like nothing against Cade, but he's probably like, I don't know if he's like a big dreamer, but like, looking at an entry list, I'd be like, shit, like, I don't even have a chance.
Yeah. Like, you're qualifying. You're like, you're scraping in the night show, basically. You're getting like 30th in time qualifying.
Yeah.
And I guess you just got to wait for the field to thin out. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because I was watching him last week and I was like, in his heat race, he had a really good start. And I was like, holy crap, like, this is his chance. Like, he was like top 3 in his heat race. And I was like, he could make it in, and then he gets a restart, and I was like, oh man. So I texted him. I was like, man, keep your head up. Like that was a good start, but tough luck. And
well, dude, even like guys like Hartraff that are like on the teams, they're really good riders. He's got podiums in Supercross in the 250 class. The guy gets like a whole shot, and he's back to he's in 10th place after the first lap.
Yeah, 3
Like
lanes
it's
later.
stupid. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The top like 15 guys are all within like a second and a half.
So kind of going back to what you said about how like there's some good guys not making the night show even. When you look at that list, do you feel like a lot of those 250 guys that, you know, were kind of making the mains, you know, maybe not even top 10 guys have kind of tried to make the jump to 450, and that's why it looks a little deeper even. So you got your 20 factory guys or whatever that are going to, you know, make it no problem, but the next 20 guys, you feel like there's more of those guys that are better this year in the 450 class? Because I used to think it would drop off real quick.
It used to.
Right?
It used to.
And now it seems like those guys like Starlings and stuff have moved up to try to get that 450 money or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and the 250 class is pretty thin past the top 10 right now.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, usually there'd be some guys that aren't too bad, like those Starlings and whatnot, in those 250 class, kind of, you know, making that class a little deeper. That's not so deep right now. Do you feel like the 450 class, some of those privateers have made that step up?
Yeah, I mean, only because you said his name and it stood out is Starling, because I listened to him in a podcast and he was talking about moving up and his reasons why, and he just felt like moving up because he felt like a 450 suited him better. But
I feel like a lot of guys are saying that this
Everyone
year.
says
450
that.
suits them better, right? And
yeah,
that's made that class tougher to make the night show even.
yeah, and maybe for a guy like him, he's probably like, man, I should have stayed down in 250
Because
class.
he hasn't made a main event yet, has he?
His qualifying was really good today.
Yeah.
Though. He'll be really close.
Yeah.
But like, how do you beat like?
And, like,
there's-
he's a
you gotta
good
wait.
rider.
You gotta hope for someone to crash out. 'Cause
Yeah.
you got guys like Hartraft and like basically everyone in the main events on like a legit team.
For
So
sure.
it's like, how do you even get in without someone going out?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day where, like, let's say if some of those guys that aren't there right now were there, like Bogle, Justin Hill, Blake
Bogle's
Baggett.
back today.
Okay, so but let's say like for all the guys that aren't there, if they were there,
So yeah, you
That'd
got
be like-
McElrath, Baggett,
yeah,
Hill. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, there's a few guys missing out of there right now, isn't there?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
with those guys added,
if they were there, you would have basically like let's call HEP a factory team now.
Yeah.
Like they kind of are. Like they're the Suzuki flagship team. I guess there's Bar X, but let's just say that like all those HEP dudes are factory guys.
Yeah, Ansty too, right?
Yeah, let's just say like for argument's sake that's a fact. So like let's say there's just if all those guys are there would be 20 factory guys. So you're basically banking on either if you're a privateer guy, you're banking on one of those guys, hopefully, or a few of those guys not like lining up to race the night show and you maybe get in. But if you're one of those guys going into a weekend and it's like, all right, everybody's there, it's like, I got no chance of making a main. And so now that it's like to keep these guys in the sport and to keep showing up, like there's got to be some sort of incentive. But if they're like, man, like I don't even have a chance.
Yeah.
I was like back in the day, or not back in the day, but like a few years ago, they were running semis, like heats, semis.
At least
LCQ.
they're getting more track time.
Yeah.
What if there was like, because they did it in Canada this year with like the Canadian Supercross, like have a B main.
That's a good idea.
And that would be kind of fun, you know,
Yeah.
because
I
then
think
it's
it'd be
still
sick.
like you're still showing up, you're still racing, and it's still like quality guys.
Yeah.
And they're not racing like they would be in an LCQ, because you see all those guys line up in an LCQ and they're racing around like chickens with their heads cut off. But if they actually like race in a B main, it'd be good racing as well. You would probably see the difference between like the factory guys and then all the guys in the B main, and you'd get an appreciation for all the guys in the A main.
Yeah.
But at least all those guys that aren't making the A main, they have something to race for that night.
Yeah.
And instead of just like you get your 8 or 7, 6, 7, 8 lap LCQ, like
Yeah.
I don't like, that's why, because like I got really ambitious to try and go race Supercross this year. Like I was like, man, like I'm like, I kind of learned a lot racing the Canadian stuff, and I was like, I feel like I could do it now. But then I just looking at these entry lists, I'm like, there's not a chance.
No
like, why would I
way,
even go
yeah.
and do that? Like a dude like Cade Clayson that's putting his whole life into it is not even like he's a really good Supercross rider. He's not even like, he's having a tough time. And then I look at myself, I'm like, man, I probably got like not even 100 laps on a Supercross track. Like, so why even bother?
Yeah.
But so at some point, I feel like those guys are going to start feeling like that too. Like, it's like, holy crap. Like, it's just the level's so high and I'm not stacking up. I can't find the funds. I can't find the support. Like, I'm done. And then you're going to start losing these guys.
Yeah, definitely.
So I got kind of 2 follow-up questions to the B main for you here. First one would be like, do you think that B main would be on TV, or that would just be like a B main that's not televised, just in the stadium for those guys to gain?
I
the
would say
experience?
put it on TV.
Yeah.
It's gonna be entertaining.
Yeah, put it on TV, or maybe it's if they don't have the TV time, make it kind of like a KTM Junior thing, where it's like you get like some
A
recaps.
5-second glimpse
Yeah,
of it,
yeah,
or like,
for
here's
sure.
the highlight. Yeah.
Or put it on the app or whatever.
Because I feel like that'd be a problem for them, is to try to get it onto the TV with the airtime. I mean, it's a 3-hour show. We watched an hour and a half of commercials, it feels like, but
Yeah.
you know.
Not gonna lie though, I think I'd rather watch a B main than the science of Supercross.
Oh, definitely.
Or make up to mud, which
Oh,
I think
100%.
those things are great for
They
their
have
program.
their spot for sure, yeah.
Because it's appealing to the people that are kind of new
And
to
they're
the
gaining
sport.
funds from like Kawasaki paying
Yeah.
them money to do the
Well,
science. For
I know
Supercross.
even my girlfriend, every time the Science of Supercross comes on, she's like, oh, shut up, I want to actually watch this because they're actually telling me something good. Unlike when I try to tell her something, she doesn't want to listen. But, you know.
That's funny.
And then the second kind of question I had for that B main was, do you think that you'd see some of those guys further back on the list stop trying to send it and kill themselves so hard out there every weekend if they had a B main to go out there, put some more laps under the belt, get exposure and that kind of stuff, instead of being like, oh, if I don't make the main tonight, I only got 5 laps in today, and that's not good enough. So they're really trying to send it A-Ray, get all cattywampus, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, do you think you'd see some guys kind of taking a year to figure it out instead of trying to push for that main event year one? even though you should be pushing for the main event as a professional athlete.
Yeah, but I think it would kind of ease that learning curve a little bit,
A
because
little
you'd
bit.
have something at least to fall back on, and you'd be getting more track time. You'd be learning more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I mean, I know they're all really good racers. You go to a local track and they're all skilled riders, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you watch some of those guys further back and you're like, you need more time on this track.
Yeah.
Like, you need more time to
Yeah.
figure out, the timing, the
Yeah.
layout, whatever it is.
But let's say like you watch them at a practice track, like you said, like they're really good, but
Yeah.
then they get to the race and they're just like, who is this guy?
Fish
Yeah.
out of water, right?
But maybe like that's a good point. Is like, let's say if there was a B main, and sure they're trying to get in the main, or they just hope that they luck out that they get into the A main. But if there is a B main, that's like practice.
yeah.
It's practice
Which
for
is
the next weekend
What
and
they
then the
need,
next weekend,
right?
and because it's like just no different than nationals. Like we can practice all we want at our local practice track, but as soon as you go to the race, it's like it's just different. Like it's
Totally
never the
different.
same. But
Even
and the same thing for a supercross track. Like we don't see the ruts on TV.
Oh,
But they're like
Oh,
when you
yeah.
get a good close up, like a good slow mo or something that they show on TV, it's like holy, like that track looks gnarly.
Yeah, I
And-
bet that track on Tuesday, that whoop section looked ridiculous.
Yeah, and then so these supercross tracks that they practice on the West Coast in California are rock hard. Like
Yeah.
they rarely change. They don't really get turned up. They maybe track over them with a cat,
yeah.
and then sure the guys on the East Coast maybe have a leg up on these rutted tracks because it's just softer dirt, like
Yeah.
a little more sandier, maybe mixed in with some clay, and they get ruddy. And sure those guys on the East have a little more experience with rutted supercross tracks, but it's still not the same when you go and race it.
Well, and even to that, I think just throwing tough blocks on a track, it feels narrow. It feels more intimidating to those
Yeah.
guys, I'm sure, right? Like, and transitions aren't as smooth at the practice track that's been beaten in over and over with the Bobcat and
Yeah.
rounded out. So I think it would give some of those guys a little more skill in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and you might see a decrease in injuries even a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a fair point to make. Like I think any time that you can put more time on a track like that, you're helping yourself.
Yeah.
So and I think it could elevate the sport. It's just like I don't know I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel so bad for those guys that are putting themselves out there, putting their lives into Supercross and then their lives on the line to do it, and then it's like they're walking away with not really anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I also like not trying to like toot my own horn, but to feel like I'm kind of like at that caliber with those guys. Like they're all really good guys, but they're all obviously being overshadowed by these guys on the factory teams, and I think they don't really get like a full appreciation from the public of how good they are. But maybe with these B mains, you might actually like there'll be like the appreciation for the factory guys and like, wow, those guys are really good. But then you have a B main, there's some good racing, these guys are showing their talent, that they can really flow through rhythms and whatever, and then but they're still you gain some appreciation for them too, because then they're kind of riding with some guys that they're more comfortable with, and they can set into their own pace, and they can showcase their talents instead of looking like squids trying to like cut under dudes and doing stupid stuff to get in front of another guy to try and
and even
gain a
like
position.
some of these privateer guys, they make that main event, every once in a while. But they don't have that 20 lap exposure, right? So maybe the B main's 15 or whatever. So they get some exposure to those longer laps, because all they're racing is heat racing LCQ. How long's an LCQ? 4 or 5?
4 laps or something?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So those guys, once they make it into the main, they can't even keep it in the main for more than 10 minutes before they're either pulling off or lapped twice, 3 times, which is understandable. You've never been on the Supercross track at that intensity for that long.
And the track's beat down to shit by that point too.
Yeah.
And I think it'd also be cool with the B main to see like with at least with the diehard fans to see the progression of you'd see the progression of some guy that's like been going to the B mains and he's been doing well in the B mains, and all of a sudden he's making it to the A mains, and then he's like you see that
Yeah,
progression. I think
yeah,
that'd
yeah.
be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of builds. You get a little more story behind some of these riders. Like I would think about like a guy like Pike who came from that spot where he was barely making it in at one point in time, and then like what a story to follow potentially by doing that. Maybe you get more of those stories where you get a guy like I don't know, some
A-Ray
Joan
or-
Cross or A-Ray or whatever, right? Who it's like, oh, this he's a B main specialist. He's out there top 3 in the B mains, can't quite squeak it into the A's, and then next year he made that step up. So you could maybe have some fan attachment to some of those stories or those underdog stories that everybody likes to see every once in a
Yeah,
while.
and I think like the Pulp MX challenge they do, like that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Like that's
I like
kind of
that.
getting the fans really involved with those guys that aren't like the elite level guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like hats off to those guys for doing that. Like
It should almost be the Pulp MX B main.
yeah, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Steve would love that.
Yeah, that would be awesome though. Like, 2 points, because like what you were saying about the guys that make it into the A main and then they don't really get a consistent 20 laps in.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that's frowned upon more, because then you see those guys, they're just
Yeah.
getting lapped
Yeah.
and they're not really in the pace, and it's just like, that guy's kind of like he's just being a baby out there, but he's not.
Yeah, no.
It's just like he's not with the pace. He didn't get a good start, and they're probably already lapping him on lap 3, because it's just like if you're in the back with a few other dudes, it's just hard to get going.
Yeah.
And then it's just overshadowing how good they actually are, and they're not really like, it's somebody on TV is being like, oh, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
But maybe if he's ripping it up in a B main, they're like, oh
totally.
wow, like he's actually really good. Like he's hitting the same rhythms as those other guys.
Look at how good Brandon Hartraft is, right? Look how bad he looked that day when he got passed by the whole field in three sections,
you
right?
think about it, you put those guys, Baggett, you put Anstey, you put Hill in there. Brandon Hartraft isn't making the main event. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And it's sad to say that, because he's like, I mean,
He's a bad dude.
Factory guy, or like legit factory guy last year.
Yeah.
On the 250. And,
Podiumed a few races, right?
and then like moving up to the 450 class is just a whole challenge in itself.
Yeah.
But maybe
especially this year.
Yeah, and then maybe with some B mains, you're getting your feet wet on a 450, and then you start progressing to the A main. And I don't know.
I think the program's just so long. Like, have you ever watched a Supercross commercial? Like last weekend, we watched it live because the broadcast was delayed on the satellite, and it was like, dude, this is like, it started at 8 and I'm watching until 11:30.
Yeah.
Like, this is insanely long. Like, no wonder we can't grab any new viewers.
Yeah.
Like, you're watching the heat races first. Like, it's almost like, I don't know, it's like,
It's like a football game.
yeah,
It's like a
baseball game.
Yeah, it's starting to feel that way a little bit. Like when the racing's on the track, it's good. But
Yeah, and like we're all diehard fans, and we say it's long. Like, imagine if you're just like someone trying to get into the sport and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, how, like, and you're watching like.
Well, I get like I feel the same way, I guess, when I watch like a UFC or what's it called, UFC event, right? Like there's all the prelims, like everybody's hyping up these main event fights, and it's gonna be the greatest fight ever, and you sit through 3 hours of kind of mediocre prelims. Some of them are pretty good, like just like the 250 and LCQ classes are pretty good sometimes. And then you get to the main event, it's kind of a snooze fest. Like you sat through 3 hours for that. I mean, luckily we got some good racing going on right now, but I feel like that's all these sports need to figure out how to condense that program down into the new generation and not watching this program for 3 hours. Even though we'll all binge watch something for 6 hours straight on Netflix, no problem watching a TV show.
So adding a B main isn't like really ideal for that kind of idea, right?
No, but at the same time, like, it's a fair point, because I mean, it would help the audience. That's just the thing, is like we want things to be instantaneous now. Like we want all the action. We just want this huge dopamine rush, like right then and there. And like the program's long. It can be boring if the racing's not good, but like maybe for the progression of the sport, that's how it needs to be. Like maybe shorten some of the races.
But that also too, to say, with that being said, like with the B mains, adding that little storyline of people like progressing, maybe that's something more that people can follow.
Well, and like maybe during some of that downtime, they've got something to talk about rather than Jet Lawrence letting the big dog eat or or like I don't know, get onto a different story than some of the stuff they come up with sometimes. Like
Yeah, you can almost like action pack the whole night, but then they don't have time for track work or whatever. It's like that. We don't know what it's like to run a Supercross event, right?
No,
I don't know.
we're sitting here totally blind, just saying, oh, they should do everything that we want. But
Yeah. Well, and it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about with like the science of Supercross or the makeup to mud. Like some people probably really appreciate that, and I know for myself, like being a racer, I love knowing like background stories of other guys.
Yeah.
So like sometimes like that stuff is nice to like kind of switch it up from solely just racing, like hearing about like what so and so did during the week. Or
what I would love with those B main guys is like some of them even vlog their journeys. I don't watch any of the vlogs, but they've showed it on Supercross before, or maybe motocross. They show their journey from race to race a little bit, right? Like they'll grab a few of those guys' vlogs and stuff, and like some of that stuff's pretty cool. Like, oh damn, like when you were going to the races and your trailer tire blows off, halfway to the race, or just shit goes sideways midweek. I like to know that kind of stuff because then you're rooting for that guy during the race too. Like, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. Finish your set.
I finished it.
Okay, well, here's my idea. Like, what if they got rid of? Well, you're not going to get rid of the TV. Oh, apparently NBC Sports is closing down, so they're going to have to go elsewhere. But with the app, they have the app. They're trying to push everything to the app. Instead of just having this downtime where you're looking at the audience, just put shit like that in there.
Yeah. Right?
Like that seems like it'd be like fill that time with cool background
Yeah.
stories.
They're
That
probably
would entice people to go to the app more than the TV, because it's like I have the US satellite, and there's no benefit in me paying for the whatever you call it,
video pass.
video pass, because I'm just gonna sit and look at the audience for 20 minutes
for a commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't I can, at least on my satellite, I can record it and watch it later.
Yeah.
And fast forward.
Yeah, that would be a good idea actually, because like just trying to think about the little issues there with like some people appreciate like these background things or the science of Supercross, but then guys like us want like more racing but for more guys, but it's like either one would take away from the other one, but maybe with something like that you could do that. So
you could jam it, you could jam pack the whole thing. Like you could have racing between races. You could jam it with like Alex Ray going cattywampus to the whoops on a Wednesday, like, and then back to racing. Like I don't know.
I feel so bad for those guys that are dumping their whole lives.
Well, man,
into
how many guys do you see that have been following the series for 7-8 years that have never made a main? There's tons of those guys.
Yeah, or like an Adam Enticknap who has a huge personality and he's a really good racer, and that's basically all he does is Supercross, and he's not really a main event guy anymore.
It's on that bubble.
Yeah.
But he's a really good guy that should be
like,
out there on the track.
Yeah, and he'd be the type of guy who'd be out there, contending for wins in that B main.
Yeah,
right?
imagine if Adam Enticknap won a B main. And the celebration after would be insane.
They do like a full podium for him and everything.
B main championship and everything.
Yeah,
right?
that'd be sweet.
And then they bring Stu back to break down the B main. Dude, I miss those Stu breakdowns. Those were so good. Like, how did they screw that up?
I never listened to it.
Oh, you should go back and watch them because they're really good.
He only did like 6 or not that many.
He did like half the season. He did like half the season. And I was like glued to them. These are good. Like, these are really good. But then they just stopped. I don't know.
Oh, I never watched.
Apparently, he wanted to keep doing them, but someone screwed him over or something.
I'm at. Did you guys hear about the Phil Nicoletti article that's gonna be done?
Yeah.
In Racer X. I'm stoked for that.
Yeah, maybe elaborate for people who don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil Nicoletti's like he's doing a privateer program, I guess, in the States now. That's just he's racing outdoors in the States, but he's putting together his own program and his own sponsors. And I guess Racer X had reached out to him to do his own like blog or write up, and They explained it all on the Pulp MX show.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's not getting paid enough, and they're like, "You're telling him he's insane." But I don't know. I like racing Phil the past I think 2 years now, and getting to know him and kind of like spending time with him at club. I think he's a super rad dude, and but he's just his point of view is just insane. So I'm stoked for something a little more fresh. So
Yeah.
that's coming out. But actually, speaking of that show that he did on the Pulp MX show, it was so funny. Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
listened
With
to
his
it.
girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh my
That was
god.
good.
Do you listen
That
to it,
was
Chris?
good.
Oh my god,
yeah.
that was so funny. I'm like, dude, Phil is such an idiot.
I had to make the girlfriend listen to that one because there was some similarities in the relationship.
It might make,
I'm not the only one.
it might make you look pretty good.
Yeah, that's exactly. See, I'm not the only one who doesn't say.
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I can't let Sloan listen to this. She's
I-
like, you and Phil are the exact same.
Yeah, I think I said, I was like, this is probably 85% of motocross racers. Don't want to say I love you. Don't want to touch them in public. Don't want,
Yeah.
I think flowers are stupid because they're gonna
flowers are
die.
the
Yeah,
worst.
totally.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that was so funny.
that was good.
That was a good show. And then, oh man, the Weimer and Villapoto show.
Oh man, I couldn't even listen to it.
That one got pretty rough. I like listening to those guys like talk about stuff other than moto, like hearing them talk about them going camping and stuff and hunting, and
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool. But then when they just got so loose, I was like,
Well, like
oh, man.
Weimer couldn't even spit anything out of his mouth. Like, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you a story. You know, we went. Like, and they were just like making fun. It just got worse and
Oh,
worse.
And then Villapoto would be like, what he's trying to say is,
With a few more swear words in there. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that
man, it's
was
funny.
a funny show. But I don't even think I got through the whole thing. And then once Skip got on there, he was just, oh man, he thought it was hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet it was pretty funny being there.
Oh
but
yeah.
listening to it, I'm sure it's like when we're kind of like, like that's hard to listen to.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways,
Cool. 99.5 commercial break.
I gotta pee. Put on some tune. We're back. Cool 101.5 The Drive. Just making up radio stations. We are back.
What was Todd Sewell's? What did he used to answer the phone with that radio station?
No, it wasn't a radio station. It was a
Oh, Bob's Pizza Emporium. You kill him, we grill him.
no. That was oh, was it Pete's Crematorium? You snuff them, we stuff them.
Every time. It was
Every
yeah,
time.
it was great.
Oh man, I had a good one, but I don't know if I should say it on the air. No, I definitely shouldn't say it on the air.
We'll save that one for the Patreon.
Yeah, if you want to, like,
edition.
sign up for Patreon, I'll give you that one. But,
We'll have to get that going.
or was it Pete's
I
Crematorium?
think it was a Pizza Crematorium.
No,
You-
it was
you-
Pete's.
Pete's
What do they call it when they?
Well,
Pete's
we should-
Taxidermy. Pete's
Pete's
Taxidermy. You snuff them, we
You
stuff them. That's what it
The
was.
taxidermy, right? Say we should just call this guy and see if he answers the phone.
Dude, we
that
should.
way.
We could do it. Can we do that?
do a lot. Yeah, we could do that.
Will it come through?
Yeah, we just need to get.
Let's do a cold call.
I need a dongle.
Oh, I
don't
think
have
I
a
got one.
dongle
I think I got
here.
one. Hold on. You guys keep going.
Okay.
Commercial break.
We're going back to commercial already.
Oh man.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I still want to know what's going on with you next year, Keelan. Does it have a? No, that's not the right thing. Ah, fuck. Yeah.
it next time.
Next time we'll get it. Yeah. Got to come prepared one of these days.
Yeah,
Or
Keelan.
what's that thing? On there. On the.
That's for video.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sure Dom's got one upstairs, but
Yeah, go ask Dom.
ooh, wrecking stuff. That's nice.
That would be funny to call Todd, see what he's doing right now.
You're not getting on FaceTime?
Well, we still need the on this thing. How do you? You need Apple.
Okay,
yeah.
it's fine. We'll do it next
You
time.
need
We'll
what?
get it sorted
Wait,
out
no.
next
What do you need?
We need a dongle to.
It's fine. It's too much
A
fucking
wait,
around.
wait,
Wait,
what do
you
you-
have
what
an
do you mean?
Android.
Yeah, I do.
Doesn't your Android take a normal
Uh,
headphone jack?
I can't do FaceTime though, bro.
We don't need FaceTime. What do you need?
Just call him. We're just calling him. That's all.
What do you do?
Just plug it in.
You got your
We're
plug
in.
in. Get your plug in.
Plug into what?
Your charger.
Here.
Does that go
This
in?
is just thrilling for everyone to listen to.
Oh.
Sorry. What are you doing? What's going on over there?
I don't have a headphone jack, dude.
What?
What are you talking about?
That's what I asked you.
What?
If you had a.
I have an Android. You asked me if I had an Android.
But does it not? How do you listen to music through it?
I have to have a headphone.
So it needs a stupid dongle
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
What the?
Dude, Dom has to have a dongle.
No, okay, we're giving up on this mission. We'll do it next time. What's going on with the music?
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Quite the operation we got going on
Oh
here.
my, things
Okay.
are falling apart quickly.
Okay, we're back. We're back. Keelan, what's your tentative plan for 2021, bro?
Nothing, man.
Nothing? You're just gonna hang out?
So PW50.
No, we're racing.
Racing what?
I don't know. I'd like to.
So you want to do
Who's
some?
your trainer? Let's start with the
Yeah,
basics.
yeah,
who
yeah,
who
yeah,
you
let's
training
get
with
into
right
that.
now? Is this the Meston
Why?
school?
I don't want. Why?
He doesn't want to reveal his secrets. What?
No,
He doesn't want to have the competition get an edge this year, I guess.
no. I just don't. Why do we got to talk about me, man? I don't.
People are interested.
nothing
in you.
special about me.
You're the star of the show. People
you're-
want to know.
Oh,
Canadian
yeah,
motocross racer. Like, why wouldn't we want to know what's going on?
I want to know what's going on. You haven't told me.
Yeah, you never call.
Okay, let's air this beef out now. Tell Jared how you really feel.
Turn into Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never call. Ask me how I'm doing.
Bro, you don't text back.
I do. What are you talking about? I've made a valiant effort to text my friends back.
Not a very good one.
Yeah, what are you
Dude,
talking
we
about?
didn't even know if you were going to show up tonight.
Yeah, I told you I was busy.
Like an hour before we were supposed to do the podcast.
Yeah, because I was trying to deliver a pressure washer for the Bent Methods Christmas giveaway.
Okay,
That was
I
an ultimate
understand.
success.
I understand that, but we sent this text message last night.
Yeah, I said it was good.
No,
Didn't
you
I?
didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Hold on, let's get into this. Hold on.
Holy
Read the scientific evidence over here.
Pull up the screenshots.
Pull up the transcripts.
Read the transcripts.
Yeah, so yeah, you guys
said it.
texted
I
last
said it.
night.
Jared and I were having a nice conversation, the two of us.
I said, does this time work? Chris is like, yeah, that works. Nothing from Keelan. So I'm like, is he going to show up?
I said, should we get Todd on the pod? Hashtag Todd
And
Pod.
then you didn't reply after that.
Yeah, I replied today
Like an hour ago.
at 3 p.m.
That's okay. We figured it out.
Yeah, that's good.
I always come through.
No, I'm
course.
terrible too. Like I suck at texting.
I think that's just the way things are going right now. Is people are getting frustrated with having to be available literally 24 hours a day. Like you got to reply to everybody every minute of the day. I think
Oh
like
yeah, no, I suck at that.
that's too tough. I can't do that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you open an Instagram message and you're like, oh, it's red now. Now I gotta reply.
Oh yeah, you know what's bad is when you like text somebody, and then I think my chick does this to me. Is where like she'll text me, and then if I like don't know what to say or I just like really don't feel like responding at that time, and then I go on Instagram,
Yeah,
That's a bad move.
and then they can see
that you're I
that
turned
they're-
that off. They cannot see when I was last active.
How do you do that?
You go into your settings and you go, I don't know, something. You do something.
So did you get shit?
No, I just
Why would you turn it off then?
so like it doesn't show that someone sent me a message and that I'm active 20 minutes ago or whatever.
Oh,
That's how I roll. Because I'm at work all day. I got a 10-minute break. I don't want to look through Instagram messages and reply.
You
True.
know what? You know what's
True.
you know what's like pretty ballsy is when people leave their like red receipt thing on. Like, who does that?
I don't know.
You know?
People, apparently.
Yeah, I think
People are just too lazy to turn it off. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of funny though that they'll just read something and then not respond.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I read stuff and not respond all the time,
Yeah,
but
me
it's
too.
usually like because I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
time.
It's not like you're like
Being a
ghosting
dick,
them or
yeah,
whatever,
being a
right?
dick. It's just
Yeah.
like, I got to think about this for a bit, and
yeah.
then you respond.
It could
Yeah.
also be like, you leave it on because you think, okay, they see that I've read it. I don't need to reply. You know, like
Yeah.
it's good. I got what you sent me. It's
Yeah.
not worth replying.
Depends on the
sometimes, right?
person for that.
Well,
Totally.
definitely. Most people aren't going to be okay with that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's probably what that guy's thinking is like, oh, they see I read it. It's all good. I don't need to reply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the only thing that bugs me, and I mean, I'm bad for like communication anyway, so I can't talk. But like, I'll just say what bugs me is when I get thumbs up back from somebody. When I say something, and especially if it's like a long message, then I get a thumbs up back.
Or
I'm like,
they'll like the message.
I mean,
I go for that move all the time.
I don't mind.
We're in our bent group chat, and I'll some Dom will put like a long text out, and then you'll go Chris laughed at this text. This guy might have COVID.
That is funny though.
It's good. It's a good time.
Well, when you started like doing that, like laughing, and
I'm like, what's going on?
and I'm like,
with
how
this?
the hell is he doing that? Like, how does he find this feature here?
Yeah, and I have an Android, so everything like when I send a message to the group chat, I get a message from myself. So it's like, what's going on? I don't even know what's going on with this whole conversation.
Really? You get a message back?
Yeah, like look, I guess I can't. But when I send a message, it'll send a minute later, I'll get a message from myself because you guys are all on Apple and I'm on an Android.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh. Yeah, I
see,
only
like-
reply with those laughs and likes because it's like
Takes you.
6 hours later. Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
it's lost its meaning. I'll just
Yeah, we know you
Oh.
responded. It's fine.
That's
It's whatever.
hilarious. That's
Yeah.
good.
I do not like the thumbs up though. It drives me nuts.
Is it like the like of the message or like the emoji thumbs up?
emoji thumbs up.
Because it's all big and
It
in
could
your
be
face.
passive aggressive or it could just be genuine, right?
Like, oh, right on.
You
or
got
like,
it, dude.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
fuck
you,
off,
bro.
man. Leave me alone.
Yeah, good for you. All right.
I saw something that somebody was explaining it on Instagram. I think one thumbs up is good, but two thumbs up is like a screw
Yeah.
screw off
Yeah.
or something like that.
No one knows that lingo, bro.
I don't know. That's somebody was trying to explain it because no one knows that lingo.
We're going back to hieroglyphics here.
Yeah,
Some emojis
really. It's
and
gonna be all
whatnot.
emoji.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Semicolon dash bracket.
Damn, we sound old as fuck.
Right.
How old are you, Keelan? You 28?
28.
Does it bug you getting older?
No, but I sometimes I think about like man, like what's the next kind of X amount of years of my life gonna look like?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, am I like how long am I gonna work for, and when do I want to retire? Like all these like
Yeah.
all these big questions come in because when you're young, like all your focus, or at least for me, like when all I've been focused on is riding bikes, and now I'm like, holy crap, like,
Yeah.
it's really setting in, and I'm
Yeah.
like, then I'm like, how long am I gonna live for? How long do I want to live for? Like, what do I want to hit? Do I want to hit like 80, 85, 90, 100?
No way.
Am I gonna be like too grumpy when I hit
Nah, you
like
gotta-
90?
You gotta put that shit out of your brain, bro.
Oh yeah,
You
but
can't think about
I
that stuff.
I don't know when I like decided this and who I heard it from. I can't remember, but I decided that I'm living my life in thirds. And I don't know. Have we talked about this?
I
I
I've
think
heard
yeah,
you
we
say
definitely
this,
talked
yeah.
about
I mean,
this.
I say it like pretty jokingly that I'm gonna do it, but at the same time, like I really kind of believe it that I'm like living my life in thirds. So my idea is that I'm gonna live till I'm 90, and for my first third, so like that's each third's 30 years. So my
Yeah.
first third, I'm like living it up, youthful life. I mean, that's usually when you're in your prime.
Yeah.
Like so you have all like the best body of your life. You can do all these fun things. Be
Yeah,
active.
when you're one.
It's the Keelan Neston show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And but then when I hit 30, that's when it's like, all right,
Time to get serious.
time to switch gears here. And I got 30 years to hammer it out, to get rich as all hell.
So you're getting close.
Yeah. But I don't know. Some people are trying to influence the shortening of the first.
People love to do that, right? People love it.
Anybody in particular there?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 60 to 90 is just like back to living it up. So I
Just
got
retired life on the beach,
yeah.
drinking a martini.
Yeah. So I got 30 years of just straight hell.
Yeah. Well, could be worse.
Yeah, but I mean, like, why is everybody like? If you put it in that perspective a little bit, at least this is my take on it. Is if you put it in that perspective a little bit, like let's say like, well, like what's that? Talladega Nights, where he's like, he's like, oh man, I saw something where they like put a goat's heart in some guy, and he's like, man, maybe I could lift it like I'm 140 or something like that. But like, if you put it into the perspective, like man, I could potentially live to like for like a really long time. Like, where if you take care of yourself, like you could do really well and have a long life. So, like. And this has been my view for a long time, and we see it with a lot of people we grew up with and maybe went to school with, and they're like, everyone's like in such a rush to grow up, and like I yo-yo with that all the time, where I'm like, I'm kind of at the point where like I need to grow up, but when I was younger, I was like, man, like I'm just like, oh, I gotta make money, I gotta get a house, gotta do all these things, and whatever. But when I like kind of, I don't know, when I had this like brief enlightenment, I was like, oh wow, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And but it's like, man, everybody I went to school with is like house, kids, whatever, like all these things, but they all did it like so quick, and they're all like so sure of like what they wanted to do, and I don't know, I was just never like that, and it's, yeah, like sometimes maybe a little upsetting to like not be so sure of yourself, and see other people that are, and they're like, wow, like they're really confident with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And,
Or they just haven't thought of what else could be.
yeah, maybe, or maybe they're just like, you see some like I see some people I know that I grew up with that are just like they were so sure of themselves, and they're like so happy with where they're at. Like perfect example is Bub Dineshuk, like good friend of ours. Like that is one guy that has always been so sure of, like, he's like, this is what I want. I mean, he's like yo-yoed from what he's done with his career and stuff like that, but whatever. But he's like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be married. I want to have kids, blah, 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 blah. Like, especially with women, he was just like, I know what I want for a woman. And then when he found her, he's like, I'm marrying her. And he was just like so sure. And then I look at that and I'm like kind of a little envious of it. I'm like, wow, like to be that confident to know like what you want to do with your life. And then I'm on the other end of the spectrum, like, holy shit, like I don't even know like what I'm doing tomorrow. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
So do you think some of those people, and like maybe Bob is, you know, that one guy who truly does feel the way you're saying, right? Like he's totally confident in all those decisions and everything like that. But do you think a lot of people, you look at them and you think they're so confident they've achieved those goals that they were setting out to do, or that life plan or whatever? Do you think they only look that way because they were told that that's going to be what makes them a confident, fulfilled person? Maybe it's not fully 100% inside, versus someone like yourself who's living it in your way. You know, you said it, you want to live that 30 or thirds lifestyle, right? Like you're doing it. So, you know, from their perspective, maybe they look at you as like, oh, look at this guy, he's so confident he can just go out and he's going to do this plan he's set out to race for, you know, the first third of his life, and he's got it planned to do the next third of his life, and it's going to turn out better for him because he didn't listen to what should have made them fulfilled or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that's like the grass is always greener syndrome will never leave us.
Yeah.
I know, and like, I mean, we're all three of us are also young, and we probably even imagine what like a midlife crisis will be like. But I'm pretty sure if we hit it, we'll be like, holy crap, I wish I did this when I was younger, or whatever. But I mean, I think it's hard for anyone to really like sit back and truly cherish what they did with their life. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I find it's like really, especially lately, like I'm finding it to be really environmental for me, or like or it's like an atmosphere thing where I was even thinking of it today. It's like I was like, man, I've met a lot of interesting people racing bikes and traveled lots of places, like like with bikes, and primarily North America. Like I haven't been fortunate enough to like, or I shouldn't say I haven't been fortunate enough. I just have not went to like Europe, like some racers have, and experienced what it's like over there. But like I've traveled quite a bit across Canada and North America and met a lot of people, and I find like each time I'm with some different group of people, whether I'm in BC with my team, or down in California with some of my friends down there, or the one time I got to go to the East Coast, or being in Eastern Canada, it's like no matter who I'm with, I'm kind of like my ideology changes, and I kind of like my train of thought kind of forms around whoever I'm with. So it's like if I'm with the Carlson family, and like they're so family oriented, and they're just like family's so important to them, and cherishing like each moment with their family. And so like when I'm with them, that's like how I start thinking. And I'm like, man, like that, just those things are so important to me. So like these small little moments that I spend with my friends, my family, or whatever, I like really cherish it. And like they have had that influence on me. But then I find when I'm in Calgary, and this is my big issue with Calgary is, and like I love this city and it's a great city, but I find like the people here are just so like high strung.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like everybody's so focused on like I got to make as much money as I can on this day, and then I got to do that tomorrow, and then I got to do that tomorrow, and I got to get as far ahead as possible as I can, and I got to beat the next guy, and I got to be richer than my neighbor, all my neighbors. And like I'm not saying it's like that for everybody, but I just kind of get that vibe. Like it's a very rich community, and it's just kind of that way. But then you go to like you go spend a weekend in like Revelstoke skiing or something, and you're totally okay with being just a scumbag, because it's just like, it's, to me, it's just like, it's kind of environmental. But I think that's what's cool with like traveling with bikes and stuff, is it really kind of molds you almost more than maybe you would have been molded by grade school or secondary school. Like I think you really experience a whole, like you just kind of get the full picture and the full package, and then you kind of pick and choose what you want from it. And I don't know, I was just thinking of that today. Like I think it's really, really cool to be fortunate enough to have all of those experience from just a sport. And I think you probably get that with any sport, you know?
Yeah. Just
For sure.
You gain perspective, really.
Mm-hmm.
You see different views of life.
Yeah.
It's interesting listening to you talk about that. I've been reading a book lately. It's just called Sapiens, and I'm not that far into it, but it's kind of like a brief history of
Who wrote that book?
Oh, what's his name? Yvani or Yanni? I can't remember his name. Some
Yeah,
foreign
I've
guy,
heard of this.
right?
I've heard of this book.
It's super interesting. I'm only maybe a third into it here, but part of what they talk about is like that needing to travel, needing to gain those experiences, open your eyes and stuff like that, and how we think that stuff's so important to us when it's all just an idea. It's all a made up idea that, isn't there.
Like traveling is
Yeah,
a made up idea.
right? Like the need to travel and explore to gain this wisdom and perspective on life and Earth and
Yeah.
stuff like that. When it's all just a made up thing we come up with ourselves, or we've been getting told, our entire lives, so we buy into it 100%.
Yeah.
Even though it's a totally made up thing, like
Like you don't have to do it.
you don't have
Yeah.
to do it, right? Like, so many of us think, oh, I got to travel the world before I settle down. When we
Why?
sit back, why, right?
Yeah.
Like, sounds great. I would love to see different places. I'm not saying I don't want to go do it, but the book kind of, opens your eyes to some of these, they call it romanticism, consumerism, and
Yeah.
like these different ideologies that were literally just ideas implanted into humankind to give us some kind of,
Yeah.
good feeling about ourselves or something
Yeah.
like that. When like you think about, like they specifically say, like chimpanzees, right? Like they would never think about going and visiting another tribe. Like that's the last thing ever.
Yeah.
Yet that's the first thing we're focused on. Like, oh, I gotta go to India and see what that's like. I gotta go to Australia and see what that, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's influence.
right? It is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's some interesting stuff to think about. I haven't gotten past that. I need to read more into it. But like, even sitting there listening to you talk about those experiences and those people that influence you, and that's just their idea, and how everybody's idea can influence us so differently.
Yeah, and that's, I guess that's kind of like where that's their atmosphere, that's their environment, like they've been influenced a certain way for them to behave that way and act that way, and
some idea was put onto them, right?
Yeah, or it's just like that's through ancestors and generations, like that's just what's been important to them. But I like it. I find, like, for me, I've never felt like I've had to travel, just like, I gotta travel. It's just I want to travel, like it'd be sweet, like it's just cool checking out new places and seeing, like, it just gets old seeing the same old shit all the time, so it's cool to go check stuff out. But I just for that purpose, just saying, like, traveling with bikes, it's cool to see everyone else in their different in their environment, and then how they behave, and it's just like I find that it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like but it's funny that you bring that up, because it's like it's
well, let's put it into motocross terms. The training facilities, right? Like, this is a relatively new idea, I guess you could say. I guess it's not new, but in the last 10, 15 years, you got to go to a training facility. That's going to be the next level for you. That's going to make you better, That's just somebody's idea. Like,
or you could look at that with Alden Baker's program,
right? Who's to say that's actually going to make you any better, when
Yeah.
the reality is you got to, somehow just make yourself better. Like, there's tools out there and stuff like that, but what is it about going to that training facility that's actually making you faster than what you could do here at home? You could say it's a number of factors. Oh, it's the track. Oh, it's riding with faster people.
Or is it the mindset?
Or is it the mindset, right?
Like, it could just be that idea that's going to give you the confidence.
It's the idea,
like,
right?
That's what I gather from the whole Alden Baker thing. It's
right.
Like,
It's
people just believe in the program so much that it just gives them like that extra confidence for success.
Yeah. The idea of the whole thing is just more important than what it's actually doing.
Yeah, it's.
Or not more important, but more influential.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of play into what you're saying, like, especially this year with the lack of being able to travel and go south for the winters and stuff. I've been thinking, I'm like, man, like, it's just like, because you kind of got to get past that, like oh, I got to go to California to get better, or I got to go to Club MX or Florida to get better. Like, well, it's just like kind of not really in the cards. So it's like, well, you still got to ride to get better. Like, you got to put the time in, you got to put it in repetitions to improve. And so I started thinking, I'm like, what do other people do? So then I've been really, like, scrolling through Instagram, like looking at the GP guys in Europe, and I'm kind of like really been paying attention to where they've been riding and stuff, and where they're in comparison on like latitude to on a global scale, like if they kind of line up with where we are, and if they get same weather, and like Hurlings has been riding in like +5 weather, and I'm assuming he's probably been doing that for a very long time. And like Vancouver gets +5 weather, and you can ride there year round. And I was like, oh, like, well, maybe I can do that. Like it's so just like kind of changing the mindset to be like, oh, you don't need California, because I was trying to like talk myself out of California, like why it's so good. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, man, there's only like 5 tracks there, and 3 of them are like the only good ones to ride. And then if it rains, you can go to the hills and actually get some good like rough riding in. But it's like, I'm like, like you don't need to go there. So like there's ways to do it.
Yeah. Well, there's like that mindset, right? Like you think you have to go to California to have a good season. I learned this in 2018. I went to California for 7 days or 8 days. It was something like that. It was like a week trip. I drove straight down, went for a week, did some testing, drove straight back, and that was my best season ever. I had 20 hours on my bike before the first round, and that was my best year ever. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to my mindset of thinking.
We even like this year too.
Yeah, and thinking like, okay, maybe I can't. Like, there's definitely, you can't think like, okay, I can't do well unless I go to California for the winter.
Yeah.
You got to think, okay, well, what can I do to make the best of my situation? And I can still have a successful season even though I only got 20 hours on my bike. Like, you can make the most out of those 20 hours.
Mm-hmm. Like, I've almost thought now where I find I'm going to get, this kind of goes back to like what we're saying about the guys maybe racing a B main and getting more seat time and experience from racing like on a gnarly supercross track, racing a B main, and it's going to help them in the long run instead of like pounding endless laps at a practice track. So I was thinking like for myself, I'm like, man, like I don't really start getting good in a season until the end. And I'm like, every year I've started racing in a season at the beginning, like I'm terrible. Like I'm like barely top 10. I'm like can barely hang on to the top 5. Like, but by the end of the year, I'm like there. I'm like, well, obviously, I just need to race more. Like, I'm getting most of my quality seat time and practice from racing. So the more races I can hit, the more gate drops I can get. That's probably going to make me better instead of like this past year, I put 100 hours of practice time on one bike before I even did one gate drop. I'm like, and we went and like, why? It was kind of like pointless almost.
You can't substitute for a race situation. You just can't, right?
Yeah.
And even it's like it's hard to substitute for like a national because you go to like Selden, Alberta, and it's just not the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Still a race. Though.
It is still a race, but it's still not the same. You have to like almost put that race mind like you almost have to pretend that you're going to a national on like a Selden, Alberta race day or a Super Saturday.
But that Southern Alberta is going to be better than pounding endless laps at Wild Rose.
Yeah. I agree.
Because we can all go out to Wild Rose or whatever track and like nail laps and be fast as all hell and
put
probably
down to 30 and
be confident and be like, oh man, like I'm feeling really, really good. And then go to a race and you're just like you're forgetting your like pre-race routine a little bit, or like how you hydrate and what you typically eat, and you're just kind of like all out of sorts. And then maybe you have a bad race or some kid's really on it, and you just kind of not really where you thought you'd be, and it kind of like takes you back a bit, and so it's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
One thing I was going to comment on there, when you talked about not going to California for as long or not going to California for the year, and you actually did better, and it made me think of what you said there, how what did you say? Oh God, don't let me lose this now.
The Europeans?
No, change of scenery. Maybe the change of scenery of not going to California to train, like not doing that regular training, the regular thing that, you thought was the thing that made you better. Maybe that change of scenery did make you better because it did shift your mindset.
Well, I think it definitely does.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe people need to focus more on that. Like, look at what Anderson did with Baker, right? Like he left Baker's factory, but it hasn't gone well.
Terrible,
maybe
terrible
I'm
example.
myself, here. But you get what I'm saying.
I know what
there,
you're
right?
saying. Like, I think it's just like not getting sucked into that mindset of people saying you have to do this or you have to do that to be successful.
Well,
it's like you can be.
It's not like you even have to go somewhere better. Like everybody thinks, oh, I went to California, now I got to go to Club MX. I went to Club MX, now I got to go to Baker's Factory. Or somewhere. You keep got to stepping it up. Maybe it's not that. It's just the change of scenery, change of pace, and sometimes people get flack for that. I think.
But that kind of goes back to like what I was saying, how like traveling around riding bikes and you get surrounded by different people, and it kind of puts you in a different state of mind. Like maybe that's why we are like such an evolved species compared to chimpanzees, is because we do feel that need for progression, and maybe traveling is one of those things. Is you're offered a different perspective, and it puts a different you're offered a different perspective, and it puts you in a different frame of mind, or it kind of reworks your frame of mind to progress forward and make changes with your life. And so
I wonder, like, just sitting here thinking about it now, I'm like, I wonder how much of all of what we're talking about, this, the competition side of it, the traveling, the new experiences, how much of that is ego driven to make our egos just feel better about, do we need to see somebody else's way of life to make us feel better? Or,
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person. 100%. Like maybe, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the person, and if you're doing it for the right reasons. Like
what's your motivation?
Like maybe that's the whole thing, is like when we're
that's huge.
And when we're younger, like talking about our friends from high school, like why were they so motivated to get a career, find the love of their life, and settle down and buy the house? Well, like, was it because their parents were influencing them, or maybe they had big egos and they had to do it before all their friends in school, and it was a competition,
right?
Or because somebody else told them to, because they have an ego and they feel the need to.
Yeah.
Man.
Maybe we got egos and we started a podcast and feel like we needed to put all our shit on other people.
Yeah, but it's crazy how like much people differentiate. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's crazy though. Like everyone's so different.
We're all so different, but yet somehow we can all find that common ground, that commonality too. Of, we're all the three of us are talking here about the same stuff, but we've all been on the different trips. We've all gone about it a different way, but we still found that common ground to talk about it in a sense. Like we're all so different but so similar.
Yeah.
It's weird. Oh, that was stupid.
No, it's good.
No,
it's not stupid at all.
No, I think, and it's fair to say, maybe not so much with us, because we're like, us three are all very similar. We kind of like, we all found common ground growing up, like met each other at the track. We're dirt bike kids. We're all three of us are kind of on different paths, but not really. But like, I think you can go to some sort of setting, meet a new person, sit down with them, and be very intrigued by their story, and find a commonality with somebody that you have no relation with, but you just met. I find that interesting. Like this is kind of this on a side note, since I just brought it up, but like I remember one time I was in San Diego, my van broke down, and while I was down south training for dirt bikes, and my van broke down, and then the only dealership I could find that would be able to fix it was in San Diego. So I drove it down there to get the repair done, but it was gonna take like all day, and so I just like took my skateboard down, and I think I was maybe like 21 at the time, and I took my skateboard with me and went skating around San Diego, and there was this guy like sitting on the corner with like his hand out, whatever, begging for change, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking, just some stupid kid, and like so naive, and in California, and don't even just like don't even know what the hell I was thinking, but I was just like, kind of like what you were saying. Like people tell us we feel the need to do these things, so we push ourselves outside our comfort zone. So I felt the need to go like talk to this guy. I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to this guy, and so I like cruised up beside him, sat beside him, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And it's like super friendly, like this older fellow, like probably in his 60s, and homeless, of course, and pretty not the greatest hygiene and whatever. That's irrelevant. But so said hello, and he was really friendly, and we started chatting, but like got this whole picture from this guy, and he got my story too, and we are just like having a conversation, and like it was kind of cool. Like it was just something that I would probably never do and not really do today, but the fact that I did that when I was younger would make me be like more appreciative to do that today, to like get a story from people, because I think everybody has a story. But yeah, like sat down beside this guy, and like he's like went to he's like an old army vet, came back, didn't get compensation from the government, and put him on the street, and he like yeah, just like I don't need to go into details, but it was just like really interesting to hear about this, like why he was there, because I was just like, I don't know, and maybe somebody that would listen to this would be like, oh, like that's kind of insensitive, like why would you go like ask a guy to bring up his shortcomings in something that maybe makes him really uncomfortable. I'm like, well, I was 21, like pretty stupid, like but at the same time, like I don't know. It was something that I felt like I was kind of,
you know, sometimes, you know, like people need to get stuff off their chest. They just need somebody to talk to, is what we're always told, right? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes people just need somebody to talk to about whatever it is, their issues or problems. Maybe that improved his life a bit, you coming up and talking to him about his problems, right? Maybe nobody's ever wanted to talk to him about
or giving him the
struggle
time of day
before, right?
or whatever. But it was just like it was a day that I'll never forget, because it was just like it taught, like I don't know what compelled me to do it. Maybe just with the people I was surrounded with at the time. Maybe we're all about pushing ourselves outside our comfort zones, and it was just felt like the right thing to do. And I went and talked to this guy, and it was something I'll never forget, because from that day I was like, everybody's got a story. Like some people might think another person's story is boring, but like or some people might think another person's story is really exciting, but I think everybody has a story and everybody has something to tell. And that taught me that it's like we're all kind of in this together, you know, like finding some common ground. And that's, I don't know. I really don't know where I'm going with that. But
no, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't even know what topic we're on right now, but that's the freaking rabbit hole, or the route that we went down. And yeah, so I don't know. We're all in this together. Treat people nice. And
unless you don't want to.
Unless you don't. Or yeah.
No, treat people nice.
I don't know. But that was a tangent.
That's all right. It's good. Good stuff.
Nice.
Anyway, so like, what are you doing for 21?
I'm here talking to you right now.
So what does Keelan's life look like July?
What is your ideal circumstance?
Okay. Well, since we were talking about how my idea was that, how we were talking about how Triple Crown probably has like an A goal, B goal, C goal.
D goal, E goal.
Yeah. And honestly, for a while, I really wanted to go race Supercross. I got a ton of confidence from going to do the Canadian stuff, which is a far cry from AMA Supercross, but had a lot of practice on a Supercross or an AMA Supercross spec track out in Ontario, and even if it wasn't spec, it sure as hell felt spec to me. So gained a ton of confidence from that, and I gained a ton of confidence from my teammates, like Davey Frazier, and like he's had Supercross experience, and he kind of coached me along because he was hurt, and and so he kind of gave me some good pointers, and as well as Casey, like he's a really good indoor rider as well, and so I kind of like started gaining the confidence from seeing that I was like getting pretty good at it, and then having those guys kind of in my ear a little bit, like reassuring me that I was doing pretty good. And so I was kind of on a kick for a while where I was like, I really want to go do Supercross. But then, yeah, when you really look at it, like especially with everything going on, like if there's any time to where it'd be good, like a good idea to go do Supercross, now would not be the time. Like with COVID going on, the travel restrictions, and I was just.
So is that the only thing that held you back from doing it, was kind of the COVID stuff?
A little bit, and I guess too, where like it just with how much of a shit show year 2020 was, like it just kind of threw a wrench in a bit of the business side of things with moto, so it's getting harder and harder to make an income from it. So it kind of put things into perspective that I need to start kind of shifting gears and focusing on life after doing dirt bikes full time. So yeah, a bit of that, and as well as like I'm coming up on the last couple of years of my first third. So if I don't start shifting gears a little bit, I'm probably going to be single and fat and not doing much in my second third. So yeah.
Yeah, but weren't you earlier talking about like the sheep's heart? Now you're not just living to 90. You're talking 140, weren't you?
No. That's Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So you got till you're at least what, the first third? You got a while
You
yet.
have to 110 easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, push my first third as a quarter.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
First half.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing halves.
Yeah, or we'll blend the first third and second third. I don't know. Dude, it would honestly, like, I don't know. I'm actually really on this Supercross kick now, like, because I think it's really cool. Like the fact that I learned it and kind of realized that it's not that hard to figure out. Like, it's incredibly dangerous. There's a lot of risk, and like you have one little mechanical issue, it could be catastrophic, or a lapse in judgment, or a little bit of brain fade, and whatever. Like, it's super dangerous, but so is just going out to the track. Like, anything can happen. But I kind of realized that it's like, it's not that hard to figure out. Like, as soon as we finished outdoors and we're supposed to be racing Supercross in 2 weeks, like I figured out how to ride like a full-blown Supercross track pretty quick. And so when I look at it that way, I'm like, man, it would be like really cool to see local talent learn to ride that. And so now, like, I know the AGM for Wild Rose is coming up in, I think, like 2 or 3 days. And it's going to be on a Zoom call, but I want to get on it, and I just want to like put it out there, not force it or anything, and not try to like push my own agenda. Like I would love to go race Supercross. I really don't know if it's in the cards, and obviously talking about how it's like looks incredibly tough to do it now and even make it worthwhile. But for our younger generation, like, I think it'd be so cool for them to learn it. So at the AGM, I would love to maybe pitch just the idea that, because it's been brought up in the past, but like just with an organization like Wild Rose, it's really difficult to get everybody on the same page. But I think from a standpoint just for the progression of our sport, and especially locally and here in Canada too, like, I think it would just be really cool for kids to learn to ride. So if I maybe pitch at the AGM that's like, hey, what do you guys think about the idea of potentially making like a tame version of a Supercross track, and giving kids an opportunity to learn to ride it. Like, we got a pretty strong crowd of mini riders now, like 50s, 60s, 80s, and a lot of them are all going south to race these Supercross futures, and a lot of them are actually pretty good indoor riders now. So like, I mean, you build a Supercross track that they can actually like start learning, progressing on, maybe have like one lane a little more technical, another one a little more tame, and yeah, just give them that opportunity, and then maybe it doesn't grow the sport, but here locally, but maybe it starts elevating it, you know? Like why, like when these Alberta kids go to BC to race the Future West Arena Cross, like they usually get spanked.
Yep.
Like those kids in BC are really good at arena cross. Well, I mean, why? Well, they've been racing Future West since they've been on a 50, or they all got little arena cross tracks in their backyard. And so like, why can't we do that here? Like, yeah, I don't know. I see I think Wild Rose is a beautiful facility, but it's just, to me right now, it looks pretty singular, like a singular view. It's just people want to go there. I
feel like the biggest holdback to that is the same thing, even with our main track. You know, we're always preaching that we want it tougher, a little more technical or challenging in some way for the pros to advance. But then an amateur does go out there, gets hurt, and okay, well, we got to tame it down a little bit, slow it down, whatever it may be. And as much as you're talking about a tame supercross track and all that, like we had one at that one point in time,
we
where
had
it was
it
in the middle of the flat track there, right?
Yeah.
And I think all it took was a few injuries, and that was it. It was flattened, or someone just got pissed off one day, and it's gone. Like that's the problem with, like you said, a place like Wild Rose is there's a little too much going on, or not enough regulation. Like I think down in the States where you have like how many of those practice tracks have supercross tracks? You got like Pala,
Milestone's gone.
yeah.
But
Palace,
Star West or whatever it's called.
But you have to hold a pro card to go ride,
and it's not
right?
cheap. It's not cheap to go ride.
Well,
it.
you know what's interesting now is you don't.
Oh really?
Really?
Yeah. You at I don't know about Pala, but well, actually, I don't think Pala has any regulation on their supercross track. But at State Fair and Hemet, you can go and ride. Anybody.
Really?
I was actually like, in January of 2020, I was in California, and all I was there really to do was to like just ride supercross.
Yeah.
And actually, that was when that was my first time riding a supercross track, and my first time riding or hitting a supercross triple. So it actually wasn't in Ontario. It was there. And when I was there was no pros there because they're all off racing supercross in like Arizona or something. And it was myself and a bunch of kids. There was like 2 kids on 80s, 1 kid on a 125. I think like a couple kids on 60s. And then same thing, like state fairs. They have they'll have the pros in the morning, and then all the amateurs can go out and ride the track after. And I think it's like that's really cool. Like I mean,
see, I think on the supercross thing, you definitely have to have that separation, though. You
couldn't
have
100%.
Open practice like
No.
The outdoor stuff.
And I think it would have to be like, for it to work in Calgary, it would for sure have to be fenced off.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a time of the year thing where it's like
you don't get out there your first ride of the year, like
no. I think that's something that you open up in like the fall.
Yeah.
It's where it's like, okay, we got some Future West racing going on. Some of these kids want to practice to get ready. And so we'll open up the Supercross track in beginning of September.
Yeah.
But I think, well, and then if the argument there or after that is like, well, it's so dangerous. Like, why would we make one? Like, well, I mean, that's up to them.
Yeah.
Like, that's up to the rider to decide. Just give them the opportunity.
I wonder if one of the big holdbacks for like Wild Rose would be maintenance and upkeep on a Supercross track.
I think if it's built right and set right, it wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
Because I think if you build the track and you let the whoops especially set properly.
Yeah.
If you let them, and you build them with the right like kind of dirt and let them set properly.
Oh, we got hard dirt.
Yeah. I think it would stay for. I think it would stay for an entire fall until you need to rebuild at least the whoops for the following year, and then everything else would just be simple manicure.
Would you charge extra to ride the Supercross track, or is that included in your
I don't
Maybe
know.
a member gets to ride it, but I guess you got to pay to come ride anyways.
Maybe. I was also thinking too, because like, because I even reached out to these guys at in Ontario, these Vision Built guys, the track that we were riding out there, and they do. They'll come build tracks for people.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to them to kind of get a rough price, and they're working on some numbers right now. But, wait, what was the question again?
Would you charge extra price? Was that
Oh,
the question?
yeah. So I was thinking, I was like, because that would probably be, if they were on board with the idea, that would be the biggest thing that would probably turn the board off from the
For sure.
idea is the cost. And I was like, well, maybe the people that would want to use it could maybe do a GoFundMe, and like maybe that's to pay for the built, like to construct the track. Maybe that's you pay a membership fee or something, and that pays for the construction of the track. So maybe if you want rights to ride the track, you got to pay $500.
Yeah.
I would do that if there was.
There's
if
a
there,
bunch of people that would.
Yeah.
Right?
If there
and that
was
would deter a lot of the people that probably shouldn't be out there too. Right?
Yeah.
That need to go learn on the mini moto track, not a supercross track.
Yeah, and like if like if I had to pay an extra $500 on top of the membership fee there just to have access to a supercross track, I would. If it was if it was good for me.
Yeah.
Maybe like
Here we go. It's good
Well,
for
what,
him.
What do they?
well no, just
what do they
for
charge?
me.
Think about what they charge. They used to charge a Milestone $150 a day to go ride a supercross track.
Yeah, the day, like I was telling Chris, like the day I went and rode Hemet Supercross, it was $75.
Yep.
And I could stay there all day and ride, but it's still $75.
No,
It's not
to go and
cheap.
ride.
It's not cheap.
So like $500 for your
A
membership,
season?
yeah, to ride all throughout the fall, or let's say August till closing, that you could ride Supercross. Like that's, to me, that's worth it. And if you got enough people, they each pitch in $500 to build this track.
I think
like,
there would be too. Like there's lots of mini parents that want to do the Future West and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
So-
I have so many people asking to come out to my place to ride arena cross. Like every year I probably do, maybe I didn't do as much this year because racing ran pretty late, but almost every year I maybe do about 10 sessions and some coaching with kids out at my place riding arena cross, and they all usually have one kid take a spill at least over the course of the fall, but it's just they all do pretty good. And I think if the more they ride it, the better they're gonna get. I mean, it's to me, it's like you're not fixing injuries and these crashes by changing a track.
No.
If anything, like
No.
the last time I went to Wild Rose, I thought like the hill track is the most dangerous track there. And the only reason I think it's the most dangerous track there is because you are going so bloody fast around that track. Like I could ride that entire track except for like maybe a few corners in fourth gear.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have to shift down. I ride every corner in third gear. And you're flying like Mach 10 past trees. You get
tracks.
yeah, all sorts of crap, and you're going so fast. There's nothing that slows you down. There's no big jumps out of corners. To me, it is the most dangerous track at that facility. More dangerous than the main track.
I feel like the main track's pretty dangerous too. Like the faster it gets, the more more comfortable people get going that speed, and then all of a sudden it bites them, right?
Yeah, well, it's under the same umbrella. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say it's not. I shouldn't say that hill track's more dangerous. I just feel like
Yeah,
the hill
I-
track's
Speed,
dangerous
yeah.
because you're flying by trees and you hit like a tractor rut on the side of the track and you go blowing off the track
At
like,
100 miles
Well,
an hour.
Look at what happened to Justin Hill at Washougal, right?
Yeah,
And you get a little cross-rutted and bang, you're right into a tree there too.
Yep.
yeah. But that's on a national day with crazy ruts. We're
Yeah.
talking when like on the hill track, perfectly groomed, and you're just like hauling, and you hit a little rock and you go, pow, flying into a tree that doesn't move. Like, to me, that's sketchy. Like, I'd rather have either like a track that's super tilled and it's lugging your bike and
Deep ruts, technical. You got to find your way into these ruts.
Yeah. Like, obviously it's fun having those berms where you can like go flying around and whatever and but like, why is there a berm at the bottom of a hill that you're going down, third gear, wide open on a 450? You go flying into the berm, and at the apex of the corner, there's a tree. There's a tree at the apex of a corner.
Which
Hill track.
Yeah.
What corner are you talking about?
Coming down the first hill.
Yeah.
Right-hander.
Yeah.
Right-hander. There's a berm.
On the inside, you're talking, or the outside?
Either or.
The outside.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're coming flying down, third gear, wide open on 450. Hit the berm, lean over. Your head is almost like a foot away from the ground.
Let alone you could fly off that berm
and smash that tree.
Yeah.
Like, why? That corner.
Well, that's what the vet riders like. They listen too much. I shouldn't say they listen too much to the vet riders, but the vet riders are always like, okay, we need simpler tracks that we can go. We like to go fast. We want to be able to rail these turns, but that's like the most dangerous thing, right? Because you could fly off these berms, hit trees. Yeah. So you're going such high speeds.
I get why they like it. Like, it's like you're progressing, you're getting better. You dig the flow of the track. Like, you just want to show up and you want to get into your zone and just be vibing out there. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, when the track gets easier and easier and easier, well, then the faster and faster you can go.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just the sketchier it is. And like,
well, I think that's the problem with the main track, like you're saying, is they keep making it too easy. And it keeps getting faster and faster.
And you have 10-mile run-ins to jumps. And all of a sudden, I find myself out there on a Thursday or whatever, and I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. And that's like the most dangerous time.
And that goes the same with the hill track, like you're saying. There's definitely times where you're pounding motos on that track and you're going fast.
Yeah.
But your brain slips because it is so simple.
I'm thinking about what I watched last night on TV.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think so I don't think it needs much change. It's just like tiny little things that would change how the track is. And sure, maybe some of these changes would take away with the flow of the tracks or how they feel, but you can always gain it back somehow.
Yeah.
And like, I think a perfect example is like, let's say on the pro track, the Walty or whatever it's called now, the Mountain's Edge jump.
Yeah.
Probably the most dangerous track or jump on the track. Well, the best way to make that jump safer is just move the corner in.
Yeah, make it harder to get the speed out of the
Absolutely.
turn. No one will hit it.
Yeah.
Make that jump so it's wide open on a 250F for like a pro guy to clear. And there's the seat bouncing. Make it so that, and it's like, it's got a pretty safe landing now.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
I think the landing's pretty rolled out. It's not too bad. So like, and when you make it so that you got a seat bounce, the higher you go, if you case it, you're gonna bounce up
instead of
going out.
Instead of flying into it, and then when you case it, you bounce forward.
You're going 20 feet out to flat, and then 20 feet down, right? So that's another hard impact after you've just cased it.
Yeah. So sure, if you're a junior and you try to make that jump and you seat bounce it and you don't make it and you land on top, you're bouncing up and you're probably breaking your momentum and not flying forward. Sure, it's going to be like hard on you and whatever. Like, that's a given, casing jumps. Like, don't case the jump. But you move that corner in, you make it so you got to seat bounce it on a 250F just to make it. Well, to me, that's going to make it safer, plain as day. Like, why is there junior riders and beginner riders and 85s hitting that jump? Like, to me, a 65 could hit that jump now. If they came in rolling over that berm and just they'd make it.
Well, and there's always going to be one or two 85 riders do those jumps, right? But that's just the point. It's one or two. Right now, it feels like the top 15 of them can do it, and
Yeah.
that's really not a
That's how it
skilled
was.
pack of riders back there. They're still learning.
That jump is not really teaching anybody anything. It's, if anything, it's just setting them up for failure.
Well, that's the same thing with all the jumps on the track. All of them.
Yeah, like the 110. If I got a little sketchy before that jump, I am sending it to the berm. If I got whiskey throttle off the face of that.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. Yeah.
That's another jump that should be like out of a corner. For a long time, it's been at the end of a straightaway,
Yeah.
and it's had its fair share of crashes. And sure, there's going to be those jumps, and you don't want all your jumps out of the corners, but like, not every single jump should be doable for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
And it's bad when we have riders that are going out and they don't have the jumping skills and the technique, and they're trying to clear these jumps because they feel like they have to, because the guy in front of them's doing it.
Well, how do you learn those skills of how to hit technical jumps if you don't have any technical jumps?
Yeah. Well,
I think you work up to it. It's because it's got to be challenging.
That's what
right?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's how you have to learn.
Yeah.
Like that's how we learned when we were kids. The 110 was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was peaky.
Shit.
Everything was peaky.
Downhill double was terrifying.
Yeah,
at
we
one
used
point
the
in
mini
time.
track. The mini track was gnarly when we were kids. We had like a whoops. We had a supercross whoop section.
Like we learned how to hit what was that downhill double? 15, 20 feet.
Yeah, but it was peaky. If
Right.
you cased it, you were screwed.
Yeah, so
Right?
you
Like-
started to learn how to hit these technical jumps without the high speed factor to
Yeah,
it, right?
it wasn't even high speed. It was
Yeah.
like you gotta clear
It was actually
perfectly.
you had to slow down to hit it.
Yeah.
Is kind of what
well,
it
now,
was.
now
Yeah.
everything on the mini track's tabletop, and they don't learn that kind of technical skill.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
my opinion.
here's a perfect example, actually, is because you said it's like it's okay for like 1 or 2 85s to hit it, which I think is good.
Well, look at Todd used to hit the Widowmaker. You used to hit the big drumheller jump on your 65 and stuff, right? Like, there's always going to be kids that do it, but it's
I was
these
just-
skilled kids.
Yeah, and that's what I was just gonna say is like, yeah, example that jump at Drumheller, Todd hitting every single jump under the sun at Wild Rose.
Yeah.
But the reason why you guys probably got to that point was because you just kind of had to learn how to get to that point.
How are you
And
gonna learn it if you don't have the like, kind of? You don't have like if every jumps you can just work your way over it.
I mean, you had the death trap track at your house, so you got to learn.
we built the track at my place, and it was Andy Wilson built the track, and it was like all death doubles, just like the peakiest doubles. But like that shit, I didn't hit it unless I was confident I was gonna be able to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna just send it.
And
yeah,
it built confidence too, because once you
Totally.
did do it, you're like, what can't I do now? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but now a lot of these kids, they see everybody under the sun hitting these jumps at Wild Rose, and it's just giving them almost like this false confidence. And it's like, to play devil's advocate here, sure, some of them are probably working their way up, but it's getting to that point where it's like you're carrying so much speed into these jumps that they're bouncing forward
Yeah.
instead of flying up and breaking their momentum when they case something.
That's a good way of putting it. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people think of it that way. They think that, allowing people to have a run in is probably the safest way, but or like not getting so high on the jump, right, as you say. Well, maybe that height is a good thing.
Think about the speed you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you could hit, like, I guess that Mountain's Edge, for example. When I hit that jump, I am chopping the throttle about 5 feet up the jump face. And I'm still landing like 3/4 of the way down the landing into the pocket.
Yeah.
Why? Like, sure, I'm on a 450, but still.
I've flatlandered on a 250.
Oh, yeah.
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 And I'm sure there's probably like less skilled riders out there that have went to the moon
Yeah.
and really hurt themselves. And so just the point I'm trying to make is like, I just think some change needs to happen at the track, and it's from a safety standpoint. I don't think it's, I guess too, like, for myself, selfishly speaking, I would just like to see more of a challenge instead of these bloody straightaways from east to west.
Well, yeah, that goes to safety too, though, because how do you develop skill if there is nothing technical on the track?
Yeah.
Like I think I just kind of thinking about going hockey route here, right? Like, how do I relate this to another sport? And used to go to specialized camps to learn how to hit, right? How to take a hit, how to hit. Then you go to power skating camps, and like, we don't have those technical things at the track. Like you said, we need something technical to learn how to seat bounce. How many kids don't know how to seat bounce because you never see a seat bounce jump anymore, right? Like, so we need those technical things, or maybe it's, maybe the first bit of the year you don't have the most technical track. I would say like the Supercross, it kind of starts out a little bit mellow, right?
Yeah.
Or they say it's a little bit mellow,
or at
right?
the end of the year.
Right. And then it's next thing you know, they're ramping it up mid-season and making the tracks more difficult and tougher and really challenging the guys. And, you know, we rebuild our track at Wild Rose how often? I mean, they're doing it once a year pretty much, it seems like. So why couldn't they just start off easy and then halfway through the year when they do a rebuild, make it tougher?
It doesn't even have to be drastic changes.
No.
It's just like little things to like slow the track down, make it a little more technical,
It
a little
wouldn't
tougher.
take much.
And I understand, like, sitting here, it's easy for us to say all this stuff too, and like the reality of it's different, and especially when you got, 55 vet riders coming up to you bitching about this, and then you got 55 mini rider parents coming up to you squawking, and then you got 55 Keelan Mestons coming up saying
I'd say about
we
5
need to track
Keelan
tougher,
Mestons.
right? But I just kind of go back to it. It doesn't even matter who's really running our park or anything like that. We've tried to submit track ideas and ways to improve and help, and sometimes it's like they just don't want to hear from the average riders at the track, or not the average riders, but the diehard riders at the track. And it's not that they don't, but that's just the feeling you get at times, because do they have some different agenda going on that we don't know about?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point.
Like, I know the track's always at jeopardy of getting shut down for the dust, or they're going to build a road through it, or yada, yada, right? So I understand that at sometimes some of our petty, complaints are maybe just that, petty complaints to them. But at other times, I haven't bought a membership the last few years because I honestly don't. I don't know. Did I lose interest in the park? Or did I lose interest in that part of the sport? Like, I still want to go riding all the time, but I haven't. Or is it just because I got too busy and I'll blame it on that?
I mean, well, I wouldn't blame you if you lost interest in the park. Like, from my perspective, and being fully engulfed in racing and basically treating it like my 9 to 5, like, I don't find a ton of excitement from going to Wild Rose. I spent more time this year finding other places to ride that provided some variety for me, and I think with Wild Rose is it never changes, but at the same time I feel like it doesn't change because maybe that's like I've always heard that it's like the park is devoted to its members. That's all I've ever heard from the board, and it's like they're devoted to their members. And so, and this is why I understand why it never changes, is because you have your 50 riders, and they start growing up, they start progressing, and well, sure, maybe it takes them 5 years to learn how to hit these jumps, and then once they hit these jumps, they're getting all this satisfaction, and they start scrubbing these jumps. And then all of a sudden they're intermediate and they feel like they're a master at that track. Like it's a good feeling. Like just being like a local assassin. It's a good feeling. And then for the vet riders, same thing. Like they're in their comfort zone. They're hitting the jumps they know. They don't have to learn anything new. They're getting out there. They're just totally vibing with the facility, and they like, so why change it if you're getting that feel good, getting your feel goods from it or whatever. I don't know what that means.
Dr. Feel Good.
But from my perspective, it's like, especially for the younger generation, like, well, the lack of diversity is not going to teach you anything. Like, you're not going to learn anything.
What if we just got rid of all the jumps, just made it a highway?
This is straight away flat turn, straight away flat turn.
No berms. We'll just go out in the desert and we'll just make a loop.
Okay.
Flat track. We got the flat track.
Okay, I'm too serious on this conversation right now, but I'm gonna keep going with it.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay.
So, like, to bring it back to, like, you, for example, Jared, like, you were one of the most talented local kids in Calgary. You, Todd, Jared Stock,
Matichuk was
Cody was good. At that time, like, Alberta talent was insane.
Dean Wilson, even. You
Dean,
can even count him in that.
Like up north, there was even
good guys
a lot
up
of
there.
good guys up
like
there.
Tyler Bannock.
Oh yeah, he was good. I forgot all about him.
Barr, what was his first name?
Derek Barr.
Derek Barr was a ripper.
How could you forget his name? You named a goat after him.
Don't say that. Derek Barr was my enemy, my arch nemesis for a bit, but he's a good dude. Yeah, there was, like,
tons of good dudes.
There's some rippers, but from the Calgary perspective, at that time, like, I think that's when Chick was running the track. The track was always changing, and it was always technical. Well, I mean, for a long time, the only good talent to ever really come out of Calgary was from that generation. Why? For a long time, we have not seen any other, like, I shouldn't say not good riders. Like, there's plenty of good riders, but at that level, like, there hasn't been anybody from that generation to really reach that level since then.
I agree with you, but I also know that those years were a lot of kids, whether it was hockey, motocross. Like, I remember doing qualifiers for Super Mini.
Yeah,
right? Like, there was just a ton of kids in the sport.
Yeah, which helps.
So you're gonna have more talent, more possibilities of kids reaching these potentials and stuff, right? Versus, I just don't think there was many kids getting into it the last years, or the generation, like, you know how we have the baby boomers, and then the baby boomers all had us, our generation, right? And then there was really nothing after that. So maybe there's just a lapse in kids, and now we're starting to see a few more kind of speedy kids coming up and stuff, but it's still not full gates and things, is it?
No.
Not
even close.
I don't think we'll ever get back to that.
Man,
either.
it was nuts.
Maybe.
It was nuts.
But let's, so sure, that could play a part, but let's
small, like, I'm just,
well, no, it definitely plays a part, because that contributes to your progression and being challenged by multiple different competitors. Like, I remember battling with multiple different people. Like, I'd show up to a race and be like, oh man, like, I got to race like Rylan Posnikoff, or I got to race Brighton Allison, because at the time those were like the guys that I was really duking it out with. But there would be, or Derek Barr or whoever, and it'd be like there'd be like multiple guys. But I think if, from, let's say, just a practice standpoint, just from elevating your skills at that time, like I got into racing a little bit after, like, you guys, like Jared and Todd, and when Dean was around. Like, I didn't really get into racing until Dean. I basically started riding or racing when Dean just left, but from what I can remember at that time, like, the tracks were insane, and they stayed insane for quite some time after that. And you guys, like Jared, Todd, Dean, Jared Stock, like, all these.
Luke Firth.
Yeah, I guess those guys weren't really Calgary guys, but they still had some pretty technical tracks to ride too. Like, every Alberta track was pretty damn technical. Alex Drumheller,
Lloyd Minister.
Oh,
like, they were all nuts.
Yeah,
all of them. Swan Hills, Slave Lake. They all had like peaky doubles.
Jump to jump.
Yeah,
really,
the tracks were insane back in the day.
And I do remember, like, my dad and, the people at the tracks that were older kind of bitching about it from time to time on they were too jumpy, too supercrossy. You know, guys were getting hurt
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
too. So I mean,
But chicks' tracks were
that.
insane.
They
They
were
were probably a little. Maybe that's
they were-
that's the overcompensation.
Yeah, right,
They're,
like, there's-
they're a little too far.
two extremes to everything.
But I think they help guys like Jared and Todd and
Oh,
Dean
yeah.
like progress really quick. Like I have not seen a kid on a mini bike impress me. I'll never forget it. The first time I went to the track, I remember seeing this kid on a KTM 65 number 21 just sending everything.
He looks
And-
factory too. Hey.
Yeah.
Like total. Like this guy is legit.
Yeah, it had the Blackfoot helmet, like all this crap. I'm like, holy crap! And he's like racing in like the intermediate class, like the. Yeah. By the way, who I'm talking about is Todd Sewell, but yeah, just like so good. And I have not seen a kid in a very, very long time that impressive. Like.
Yeah.
It's
Well, his technical skill on the bike too, like his form and everything, just looks.
he's
so
very.
good,
He's
right?
he's uniquely talented, but
Yeah.
also that talent wouldn't come through if he didn't have those
Oh, for
tracks
sure.
to like hone his abilities, right?
Yeah. And I think with these cookie cutter tracks that we got that like they're just basically drag strips. It's not
It's making it dangerous for when the kids are getting exposed to other tracks in the world too. Like when you go down south, the tracks aren't as tame as like they are here, right? Like,
no.
I mean, some of them are, I guess, in California and stuff.
You go to
but
Glen Helen, you get a rude awakening.
real quick,
Yeah.
right? So I think that is making it more dangerous, not even at our own facility, but for when our riders do branch out and go to other tracks, maybe within the province even, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're so comfortable riding the CZ track, they think they can go this fast. They're used to riding fourth gear wide open on the hill track and stuff, and they try to take that to a place like even Raymond that gets, you know, those deep sand holes and stuff. You can't ride fourth gear wide open over that stuff without some prior experience doing it, or the big uphill triple there, like whatever it is. I think kids need exposure at their local track.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes back to like, just in general, like think of it as from a parent's point of view. You don't want to baby your kid so much that as soon as they're exposed to something real world that they shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to be able to adapt, so you got to ease them into it. Like I remember being scared shitless of the track. Like when I like the main track when I first was on a 65 and I was going to. They built this step up where the mountain's edge is right now, and it was like a wall. And if you cased it, you're done. Like you're probably collapsing. You're tacoing your front wheel. I think that bit of fear is really beneficial. Like you need to be. I don't
It's
even
a reality check.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it goes.
Fuck, what's going on?
Oh.
That camera, I think, turned off.
Oh.
Oh well.
Yeah, no, it like I was just gonna say it kind of goes back to what you were saying, like about these kids going to different tracks and not really having the skills to adapt quickly. And like I don't know, I see some of the kids now at the track and they can hit all the jumps on the pro track. They can hit all the jumps at the facility, but they go to some of these other local races or they go to Future West Arena Cross and it takes them forever to learn how to hit some of the jumps. And it's not that they're not talented riders. I just don't think they've learned those skills to like adapt quickly and to learn how to actually jump. Because instead of learning how to learn a track within, let's say, a week or a couple weeks or a month, it's taken them years to learn how to hit some of those jumps. And sure, like some of those jumps on the main track are huge, but we should be able to switch up the track at least like once, twice a year, throw in some new obstacles. Obviously it's costly, but it's a non-for-profit organization. Like spend the money if you have it. Like the whole point of
It's not like they don't have money.
Yeah, it like, and the whole point of having those non-for-profit, or the whole point of the track is for its members. Well, like maybe some of the members don't know what's good for them.
There you go. There you go.
I don't know. I just I don't know. I'm just so like, I'm so passionate about the sport now, and especially like this Supercross thing, and like I want to see like all these little rippers start kicking ass. Like I think like I think there's a lot of talented kids that have potential right now that they're not going to find what they need to get to the level that they all hope to dream to be at by riding the facility we have now. Right. They're not going to learn and develop the skills that they need riding the facility that we have now. But so, I think they can.
Do you think we need more people like you or us to step up on the board of the place like that facility to make those changes kind of happen? Because, I mean, do you think, not to like make it sound like anybody there is bad or anything like that, but do you think it just needs that change? Like the current group has been in place too long. Like a lot of people complain about our government systems being in place too long. We just need a change, right? Do you think we just need a change? Do you think they're going to be capable of making the changes of this track, or do you think we need to see fresh faces in the facility to do, someone like yourself who said you're quite inspired about this right now?
Maybe. Like I think everybody that has been on the board,
they're all great. Like we know that facility's been
they have good intentions.
Right?
They have good intentions.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's always looked at as one of the greatest facilities, in the country. Like, it's one of the top ones for sure. So it's not by any means we're doing a bad job. You're just talking about trying to improve, right?
Yeah, I think it's no. I think the board. I think the board does a great job. I just think, it's a beautiful facility. Like everything looks immaculate there. Like especially this past year, some of the upgrades they've made is incredible. It looks amazing. Like it's not far off from being like world class.
Yeah.
And especially like its location and everything. Like everything about it, it's beautiful. And I think the board's fine. I think just maybe a bit of a wider perspective instead of like I feel like maybe they have this idea of, and maybe in some of the long-term people on the board, and I have respect for all of them. And
absolutely.
Maybe when I was younger, some of them would say otherwise. But for me now and where I'm at with my riding, like I have respect for all of them. But I think like just maybe like a broader perspective, like and like I don't know if I went on the board, I really think that my opinion would not be it. I don't think it would be taken the right way that I would be intending. Maybe because my delivery would be off, or for how I've delivered things in the past, and they would think I'd be delivering a message at that time the same way I've delivered a message in the past. But for my perspective now, it's just it would be about progression and safety, and I feel like it's lacking in both those areas. And to me, the faster the track is, the more dangerous it is. And and then I think after that, like I think to make it safer, you can make the jumps so bloody hard that nobody can jump them, but then what fun is that?
Mm-hmm.
But then
there's a happy medium.
Yeah, and then progression, just switch it up. Like you said, like just maybe throw in a turn here. Maybe throw a lane onto the start straight for a week. Or like throw a pylon out somewhere and incorporate a new turn, or make one new obstacle once a month. Like just switch it up. Like provide some variety.
Like especially at our facility where like I get some of these places, they've got grass everywhere, right? And you don't want to change the track up too much because you end up with just this barren wasteland like Glen Helen, right?
Mhm.
Or what we have going right now. But it's not like we have that going on. So these track changes are possible. Like you said, just reroute it one day, just different way. We've got the water truck, we've got the machinery there. We're running the machinery anyways, prepping the track every day to go and prep a slightly different spot, and like you say, you don't have to go rebuild the whole track, the whole jumps. It's just a little thing here, maybe a little thing there, and you're not going to race that as a racetrack, but as a practice track, right? It got you a different element for that week, that day, that whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I get those places that like you got a Unadilla that's never changed in how many years other than maybe some very minor stuff. But
Yeah. But I don't know anything about Unadilla, but that might just be all that Unadilla is used for. Like some of those national tracks is
exactly,
all they're
right?
used.
That's all
they're
it's used for.
It's not a daily practice facility like ours is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and like, what was that? The guy that came and built the track 5, 6, 7 years ago, Mark Peters.
Yeah,
Peterson,
Mark Peters,
or Peters, yeah.
Peters,
yeah.
Like he built that track to be a national track.
Yeah.
Like he built that track so that when it's challenging is on national day, but on every other day it is not challenging whatsoever. It was not a challenging track. There was nothing challenging about it. It was made to be groomed deep with big ruts and to get rough, and that's what would make that track challenging. And I think like they're, for what they have there now for employees like Charlie and Tim, like they've got a lot of experience there now, and they're very talented operators. Like I think they could, and I think they would be they're both avid riders as well. Like I think they could be creative enough to go build a really good track, or just throw in some alternative obstacles here and there, and make it enjoyable, and still have a really good national layout as well on the day of a national. I just don't understand this whole it's just stagnant. I don't get it. I don't know why these layouts have stayed the same for years.
But that's kind of why I was asking, like, if you think it would take a change on the board, or, obviously saying you don't know, but
I don't know if I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I don't know if the board would need to change. I just think it's maybe a shift in perspective, because like you go,
how do you shift that perspective with the current people? Like, how do you get, because like obviously we have our perspective that's going to be hard for somebody to change for us. Like we got the perspective that the track needs to be more challenging, more technical to develop riders, right? We're going to be hard to change that perspective. They may have the opposite perspective of us, as we need to attract as many people to this track as possible, so we need to make it as rider friendly as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you change their perspective without changing that person sometimes? Not that there's anything wrong with that person, but like you said, just the perspective it's going to be hard to change a perspective of individuals.
I guess it depends on how much. I guess it goes back to delivery. Like it's, if let's say like the AGM, for example, if I were to go in there, or one of us were to go in there, and depending on our delivery, it could seem like we're asking for the world, or seem like we're not asking for much. But like in my mind, it wouldn't take much to get what I would be hoping for the facility, not for myself, just like for the facility. It would not take much. Like I could go out there. Like I've worked at the track. I know how to run a cat. Like I could go out there, and I feel like I can make a bunch of changes in about, and let's say you use the same layout.
Just
or
like tighten up a few turns.
Well, we
stuff like
definitely
that.
have some landmark obstacles that we got to work around, right?
But I feel like I could go out there and make a few changes within a day or a couple days that would get what I would be hoping for out of what I'm trying to say. It like I really don't think it would take much. But if, let's say, I kind of enjoy talking about this because it makes me think about what I would say going into this AGM.
Totally, yeah.
And hopefully I don't miss it, because it's like, I don't know, I'm just bad at things. So I might just miss it, but I hope I don't, because I really want to.
We'll put this out after that, eh?
Yeah. I want to say my piece. So
let's just release this whole clip on the just, hey guys,
you
like,
guys
show up to the AGM. Here's this whole clip.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it would take much.
No, I agree. I don't think it would take much at all. Like, just adding a few little obstacles and turns, or like out of turns or into turns, or tightening up a few turns, or like stuff like little things like that. You don't have to change the whole layout.
But like when you say little, I just want people to understand you're not talking about a little bump.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying, like,
because like that's what we get sometimes. Is like someone's like, "Oh, I put this jump out of the turn there." It's like
I think we saw that this year out of that. The Dragons back beside the finish line. The right-hander, they added a few little rollers on the inside.
Yeah, that was actually kind of cool.
It was good until it got really hard and slippery. And everyone went outside.
But that was cool. That was a nice addition.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's the idea is right. Maybe the
delivery. One simple change.
Maybe the delivery was not perfect, but it's like it's the right idea.
Yeah. Or it's really good temporarily. Don't leave it you can't leave it there for months on end.
Totally.
But it was great for that weekend of racing.
Like that after that straightaway to the right hander to the left hander to the 110 is the dumbest section I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. But that's a good point. Like, those rollers are perfect.
Yeah.
Like, simple change.
Little things like that. That's all it takes.
Make that corner before the mountain's edge 10 feet closer to the face.
And the turn after you do the 180 under the mountain's edge, you go left and you do that little table out of the turn. You can do the same thing. Put like some sweeping rollers there. Slow the track down, because you're like, it's stupid how fast you're going to that tree corner. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Oh, yeah. It's the dumbest thing.
Make that corner on the hill track at the bottom of the hill. No berm.
Yep.
Same thing after the second hill before the table step up.
Yep.
No berm.
No berm. Because you're carrying way too much speed in there. Everyone can just go around
berm.
the outside.
Wall jumps everywhere.
Yeah, walls. Just walls. Put walls, wall jumps, sand sections, dump a bunch of sand, wall jumps.
Logs.
Logs
There we
and,
go.
Logs and K-rails.
Wall jump into a sand section. There you go. Done.
Speaking of sand section, should we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's watch some Super X. Yeah. We should do this more often, though. I feel like this, like just the three of us. I feel like it's good. Yeah. I feel like it's good for like our podcasting skills too, because when we have a guest, it's like you can just deflect everything on them.
Yeah.
And when it's just us, we're just like more immersed in the conversation. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. It kind of makes you dig deep a little bit into your beliefs and.
Yeah. And before we started this, I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but that's good because we had no problem. Like, we didn't even. Yeah. It was like just flowing.
It's good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sorry, boys. I feel like I kind of ran away with that whole
it's
Wild
right.
Rose rant, but
it's good.
I'm glad I talked about it, because I've been trying to think about how to bring up this whole Supercross idea, because I've brought it up in the past and it got shut down like instantly. But it was more from a perspective of just like, why? Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, instead of like having some sort of facts or some sort of facts behind it and some sort of belief system as to why I think it would be a good idea, and not just for myself. Yeah. And also the safety standpoint because I've been thinking about, like, when I go to the track, I just have a serious issue with how my sessions go, and I'm like never satisfied, and it's either because I feel like I'm riding on the ragged edge and I feel sketchy, or I'm upset because I'm only pulling like 2 seconds on a freaking junior rider.
Yeah, totally. I
And-
same thing for me.
And it's like, okay, well, if I push any harder, like
You're gonna die.
that tree's got my name written on it. Like, yeah. So I've been trying to think of like how to put it into words why I think there needs to be a change, and I don't think it. Yeah, I don't know, but other people might have a totally different perspective on that, because
Totally.
like an 85 rider's parents probably like, oh man, the track's sick, like my kid can hit all the jumps.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, we've been there. We've done that. We've seen what can happen. Like, you've seen why the people that we grew up with progressed the way they did. There's a reason that Dean Wilson is where he is now. There's a reason for it. It's not because he's from Scotland or whatever, but he raced
Spent
at Wild Rose
for a long time.
Yeah, he grew up doing the Tuesday night mini motos.
And would I be wrong to say that the generation after ours, there is not a single rider that has come out of Calgary that would have surpassed us? There isn't.
I would say I would agree. Yeah.
There isn't. And after us, the tracks were kind of cookie cutter, and not to anyone's fault. Is just like that was the demand at the time, and that's the demand now. But I think, well, not the demand now, just the demand in recent years. But I think from what I see and just my perspective, I think it would be good to see some change.
Yeah.
I mean, hate to sound bleak, but those vet riders aren't going to be around as long as those kids will be around.
Well, I've kind of thought about that too, right? Like, it's like me and you have kind of been the top pro riders in Alberta for the last how long?
Mm-hmm.
Like 8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
You would think that someone would come and surpass us, but I mean, not to sound like cocky or anything, but that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been some kids that I see like
have potential.
Yeah. But then, there's some kids that I see that have potential, but then when we go to other tracks, it's like they don't play. They don't stand a chance. Like but at Calgary, they're like, damn, they're rippers.
Yeah.
And I'm not naming any names, but I think if they were to maybe hear this and then put that into perspective, they would probably agree. Be like let's say, actually, I feel like a perfect example would be like a Rylan Bly. Like, that kid was so bloody fast
on the east track and the hill track and the main track on a Super Saturday.
So good. Like, he was really good at Calgary.
Yeah, like, I had to really be on my game to beat him. Like, he was fast.
Yeah. And now, like he hasn't, I shouldn't say he hasn't done anything, because he's still super young. But now he's moved to Virginia, I believe.
Oh.
And he's riding tracks there, probably riding with totally different riders with different mindsets, have probably all this piss and vinegar and full of tenacity. It'd be interesting to hear like his perspective and his thoughts on what he sees down there versus Calgary. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm sure like he's growing up, maturing. I feel like he would maybe have a similar view, being like, yeah, like I rode the same damn track for however many years, and now I'm in a different scenery, and I don't know. It'd just be interesting to hear like what he would have to say, because like he had Calgary dialed, and that's
fast.
All, and that's
good
all he
rider too. Yeah. Good rider, talented guy, super good rider.
Yeah, but that's all he rode. But then he started going to California, and like I shouldn't say like he falls into that, because like they were
trying to branch out.
Yeah, they were going the full distance, like going to Cali and stuff, and he was getting better that way. But there was a time where he was just like a Calgary assassin. But I would be really interested to hear like his perspective on this topic.
Get him on the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we
Hear
should.
that?
Yeah, I'll be down. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should do this again soon though. Like
Yeah.
I got more stuff I could talk about, but
Oh yeah.
we should watch some Supercross.
Yeah.
All right.
Man is born, man lives, man dies,
That's good.
and it's all vanity. And that's about the way it is with the merry-go-round. You get on,